There's a certain kind of feeling that exists inside the fighting game community. Not the loneliness of losing. The FGC players learn how to lose early. Nah, this is much more different. Uploading a video you spent 20 hours editing just for it to get 37 views, streaming for 3 hours to 2 viewers, and one of them is your friend lurking while cooking dinner. Grinding ranked matches, practicing combos, traveling to locals, recording footage, writing scripts, clipping highlights, designing thumbnails, studying algorithms, all while trying to survive real life outside of the screen. And somehow, still pressing upload, because somewhere between the salt, the passion, the burnout, and the dream, small fighting game content creators became one of the most important lifelines within the scene. Not the e-celebs, not the esports organizations, not the million subscriber giants, the small creators, the late night grinders, the Discord lab monsters, the people making combo videos with free editing software, the ones making matchup guides with barely any views, the creators documenting dead games because nobody else will, the players carrying entire communities on their backs with nothing but passion and stubbornness. This is the story of the joys and struggles of being a small fighting game content creator. Before content creation became an industry, the fighting game community survived off passion projects, random forum posts, match uploads recorded on potato quality cameras, combo videos edited in Windows Movie Maker. People forget this now, but back in the late 2000s and early 2010s, the FGC didn't have massive infrastructure like today. A lot of communities only survived because regular players decided,
Fine. I'll do it myself.
one player recorded tournament footage, another uploaded tutorials, another made combo trials, another wrote frame data, hosted weeklies, streamed online lobbies from their bedroom with terrible internet. That spirit still exists today. Except now, the battlefield changed because modern fighting game content creation exists inside an ecosystem that never stops moving. You're no longer competing with only FGC creators. You're competing against every creator on the internet. Every short form clip, reaction channel, trending topic, every algorithm shift. And somehow, small creators are still trying to carve out their own lane. But despite all the struggles, there's some sort of magic to the space. A weird, beautiful chaos. Because one of the greatest feelings as a small FGC creator is realizing somebody out there actually connects with your content. Maybe it's a comment saying, "This video helped me learn the game. I thought I was the only person who loved this fighting game." Or getting that one comment telling you, "Thank you for making this video." Or maybe somebody tells you your video inspired them to finally enter a local. That feeling is magical, especially in the FGC. Because fighting games are deeply personal. Every player has a story. The character they fell in love with, the game that changed their life, the first tournament they attended, the first impossible combo they finally landed, that first rivalry they had online. When you become a creator in this genre, you're not just making content, you're documenting memories, you're preserving eras, you're archiving emotions. That's why so many small creators stay in the scene even when growth is slow, because sometimes the community itself becomes the reward. Now, imagine trying to balance all of that while also being a competitive player, because competitive fighting game creators live a double life. You're trying to improve at the game while also documenting the process. And those are two completely different mental battles that you're having. To improve competitively requires repetition, silence, focus, long grinding sessions, failure. But content creation requires performance, that energy, consistency, uploading, being entertaining, branding yourself. That balance becomes brutal especially because fighting games are mentally exhausting by nature. Losing repeatedly can already destroy your confidence as a player. Now, imagine losing repeatedly in front of an audience. That pressure changes people. Some creators stop entering tournaments because they fear embarrassment. Some become overly focused on content instead of growth. Some disappear completely from burnout playing Russian roulette, looking at YouTube Studio every hour on your newest video. And yet, somehow, many creators still keep going because they love the process, not just the victory. And maybe that's the most important part of this entire story. Every small creator's journey looks different. Some are trying to become top players. Some just want to make people laugh. Some want to teach. Some want to preserve forgotten games. Some simply want to feel connected to a community that understands them. But behind every upload, there's usually a story people never fully see. The late nights, the self-doubt, the excitement, the burnout, the passion, the fear of failure, the joy of finally being noticed. And that's why hearing directly from creators themselves matters. Because no analytics graph can fully explain what this journey actually feels like. So I'd rather turn this over to many creators out there that I've reached out to tell their story.
So I go by DeltaClaw. I play Tekken pretty much almost exclusively when it comes to the fighting game community, but I enjoyed, Street Fighter growing up, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur. And what got me into this scene? I guess I got into competitive fighting games first before I could actually get into the scene. Like a lot of people, like kind of just played games, but didn't really know about a competitive aspect, playing with family, cousins, whatever. But it was kind of really during like the streaming era when that started just coming up, when I got to see just how high the competition is for fighting games, and I was completely enthralled with that. So that's when I started like watching fighting games. That happened around the Tekken Tag 2, Tekken Tag 2 era. I was actually playing Tekken 6 at the time, and I was so hyped for Tekken Tag 2, just because the gameplay looked really awesome and stuff like that. And I bought Tekken 6, started seeing Tekken Tag 2 gameplay, like Green Arcade, all that stuff on YouTube, or like see like VODs and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, this is sick. And that's kind of like the start of it. I was just kind of hooked from there. I'm not like completely unfamiliar to, at least I wasn't completely unfamiliar to competitive gaming at the time. I was familiar with like super, great people at like shooting games. Call of Duty at the time was huge. I myself was into competitive Pokemon at the time. That was like just before the DS came out and before like online or net play became really popular. Me and a friend, we had a Pokemon website, competitive website, kind of like Cerebi or whatever, where we had forums and going stuff in the competitive aspect. But moving on from that, the fighting game stuff was just so cool because it was like one-on-one. You got to see, I had to really understand all the decision-making aspects of it, but like the combos that I saw and like the way people would move and stuff, especially in Tekken, was just like otherworldly. So it was like eye-opening, and I definitely wanted to be a part of it. So when it comes to the fighting game community, I'd say I'm mostly online. Like I really haven't gone to a lot of local scenes. I was starting to before, I guess, Tekken 8 Season 2 was a thing, but before that, I would go to a lot of like standalone events. I've gone to a few EVOs, CEO, and that kind of stuff. But having like a local scene that I would frequent was something that I hadn't really gotten to yet. So everything that I've done was pretty much been online. And when it comes to the online space, you probably know it's very different from going face to face. So the fighting game community on the online, I treat it as completely different from the offline scene. For the online scene, compared to other online scenes, I mean, it's fairly similar, I would say. There's a lot of egos that are involved. So, you find people that you kind of gel with, and you see, like, especially if you're on like Twitter or something like that, there's all types of personalities that kind of come with the anonymity of online. So, but overall, I found it pretty pretty helpful. That's kind of like the thing that kind of drove me, was like the helpfulness of the community, especially when I first started trying to learn and get good at fighting games. It was really the community that really got me to a place where I was motivated to stick with it and also ultimately give back. And that's kind of where I started with content creation. I want to say like 2006, 7, something like that. And like the online space was just very different, right? Like, yeah, people are online and you know talk shit or whatever it is, but like the pace of people talking in the forum age, you have your shit talkers or you have your memes and stuff like that, but I can't really make a comparison between like that situation and how it is now, because I feel like they feel like two different experiences to me. So I'm not sure how well I could accurately say how different that competitive space or what that community is like to the fighting game community that I'm in right now. I've made lots of different types of content. When I first started, it was basically just uploading gameplay of myself and just seeing the journey of me improving as a player. My goal was just to be, not even just to be like the best at a character or at a game, but just to get incrementally better and have people see that improvement and kind of making that journey with me, because you see the pro players, you see the people at the top of their game, and it feels like something that's completely different. And what helped me was actually seeing all those smaller creators or all the smaller players that are in those intermediate steps, and you can kind of see the graduation of, okay, I can do this to level up my game, I could do that, and kind of take those things. So that was the kind of way that I wanted to contribute with that. When it comes to the highs and lows, though, when I want to create more specific content, besides just gameplay, adding commentary, adding guides again, my way was kind of giving back to the community that helped me, was to create guides and help other people that are along that fighting game journey. That was the kind of thing that I did when I was in the Pokemon space, was that when I understood stuff, I'd make guides or at least compile information. And that's where I started with, I'd say my biggest one was like my Yoshimitsu guide in Tekken 7. That was like before Blasted Salami and like some of these other like really polished and like fantastic quality creators came about. But like by that time, there really wasn't anything like that. So that's kind of where I did and took the research and made my own video. And I wanted to do a little bit more stuff like that. Obviously, things have changed. There's a lot more people in the space, fantastic content that is out now. So I feel like where I was trying to fill a need, I don't think there's necessarily a need for that kind of stuff from me specifically. So that kind of puts me in a space where, okay, besides the stuff that I feel like there's a need for something to exist in the space, what are the things that I want to contribute, right? So that I started to look into, how can I edit? How can I make videos that are really entertaining and like really fulfilling for me to make? And I think the highs of that would be just actually creating something, actually contributing to the community, giving back, and also like having people enjoy the stuff that you make, right? Like any kind of art or project, you want people to enjoy it. You put effort into something, and it feels really nice to have people interact with it, comment on it, talk with you about it. And it's a really good high when that kind of stuff happens. But on the flip side, I guess the low is when that doesn't happen, right? You put a ton of hours into something, and then it doesn't hit, like the algorithm doesn't pick it up or whatever it is, and it doesn't interact with it, and that part like really like stings, right? I remember making a video, it was like community resources video, I think, and that one took me like over 100 hours, like trying to really understand all the different resources for the Tekken community, putting it all in one place and like describing like a guide to how to use every single thing, and that got like 50 views. And I was like, oof. So it's like things like that, like you just don't know how well a video is going to do until you like figure out exactly like the YouTube game, and that's something that I'm still trying to really understand. Just so you know, just so I can have my content seen. It's a game that's constantly changing, and I think something that I'm trying to take a little bit more seriously is like, all right, let me just not ignore the title and thumbnail and stuff like that, and let me actually make the whole package better, because I do believe in the content that I make. It's crazy because like the amount of effort that you put into a video doesn't even like correlate to the views it gets sometimes. Like some of like my highest viewed videos in my entire channel like was like the least amount of work to put in, and sometimes the inverse is true. So it's like really just like trying to kind of understand that, and not get sucked into making videos for YouTube as opposed to making videos for yourself or for your community. And YouTube is the medium in which it's done through. So it's like a little bit of a balancing act, trying to make sure you're staying true to yourself when playing that game. My timeline has been pretty off. I mean, my job is pretty consistent. Well, maybe not recently, but generally I have I'm able to make some stuff. But recently I think we're going back to like making content that was like authentic to you. I remember there was a good while where I was making content. I was basically like just commentary, talking about the different things that were happening in the Tekken space, just talking about stuff over gameplay, and that kind of stuff was, it got me pretty decent views and stuff. But I kind of came to a point, especially when season 3 hit of Tekken, where I'm like, I'm not sure if this is what I want to continue doing. There's a lot of people that have commentary and they can react to things that happen, news, stuff like that. And I think I'm pretty sure I can do it. I've done it. But when we're talking about like stuff that's like fulfilling, I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if this is the most fulfilling thing. Like when I look at my YouTube page, I want to be full of things that like projects that I'm proud of, that I kind of put my work into. So those kind of felt like, all right, I'm keeping tabs on like the space, but in terms of products or videos or projects that I want to actually create, that stuff wasn't as much. So now I'm kind of shifting away with that, and now my uploading schedule is going to be way different. I don't have this as kind of like, it's still like my hobby, but I don't think have it where I can consistently upload like every week or every 2 weeks. That's just not in my ability right now, just personal stuff. But I would like to be able to at least put out some content maybe every month, every other month. I don't want to make any promises, but it's kind of like one of those things where like, all right, what does the stuff that I want to make, and then and how does my releases mesh with the stuff that I want to make? And that has been a journey in itself. What got me into this space, that's an interesting one. So a lot of it was actually just like gameplay videos. So initially it was, I don't know the channel, but it's something like TacTac. You ever heard of TacTac? Yeah, they upload like old like Tag 2 gameplay and stuff like that. Just like long sets with like like the Koreans and stuff like that. I think it's a Korean channel, but it's like stuff like that. Whereas like I saw like things in Green Arcade, and like that stuff was really cool. Growing up into here, obviously Maximilian dude, right? He started off in Call of Duty, and then like he started covering Third Strike, and I thought that was really cool back then. So from there, I'd watch like this creator. I think it was like Pikachu Akuma. I think he just like played Akuma on Third Strike, and he was just like so good. At least to me, I don't know how good he is in relative Third Strike terms, but it was really cool just seeing like high level Third Strike play. So that was one thing. And then on the Tekken side again, level up your game again. That was just all the guides that they had. That and avoiding the puddle, like like the guides that they had were like really helpful in like understanding the game, even if it was character guides that like were characters I didn't play, like just seeing how they would kind of break down their tools and stuff like that. Like that stuff was really helpful. Let's see what else. To do content creators. Obviously, I know. There's a bunch of like YouTube like Tekken players, some pros that I look at, like Keeb Omega, like he's a Yoshimitsu player. Like that's in the in the game right now. I would watch what's his name? This is like way back. I want to say like Tekken, maybe like around the beginning of like Tekken 7. I think it was like the name was like Jonamitsu or something like that. That kind of stuff was so helpful because he was someone that actually like played Yoshimitsu and also like broke down like, here, like this, this move is really like, try this move, like try, crouch dash 2, like try this, and this is how you apply like this specific move. And it was really helpful in terms of like playing Yoshimitsu because there was really not a lot of players that like broke down Yoshimitsu back then and like really talk it through. So shout out to him. Like that was really helpful for me trying to get into Yoshimitsu. Then you have like the other guide content creators. Sesujin was one that I looked at. He's a Lydia player, I think, but he played Yoshimitsu in the beginning of Tekken 8. Let's see. What was another one? I said Keeb already. Another one from like Tekken 7 days. I think his name was like Peter Yao or Mao, something like that. Do you remember that? Yeah. He had a lot of good guides and stuff like that too. Like that's another one where it's like, guide content, him and Blastoslami and all that stuff. So, that kind of content was like really helpful. I like Mana Highway. That stuff was really fun. Like they still make videos. They do like tool assisted videos. Like they'll have two characters and it'll be like a programmed like sequence, and they see him like dodging and like doing all this crazy stuff. Not like hacks, but like this is like it was a choreographed Tekken. I could do something like that for Tekken. Just talk about different issues, like not issues, but like what my mind's at, like just talking basically, and just have some gameplay in the background. I thought that stuff was really cool. I just also like I always am interested in like the mindset space when it comes to fighting games. I think that's just very interesting, like the kinds of the mindsets to be a competitive player, to be a fighting game player, all that kind of stuff. And talking about those kinds of things. I also just wanted to talk about like mental awareness, but also didn't want to be like an armchair therapist. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm like, all right, I don't want to do that. Like I need to do, like I'm trying to like not do that, but I also just really would like to, how to impart positive mindsets. When it comes to fighting games and it comes to the community, because I think when it comes to social media, you got your Twitter, Reddit, all that stuff. Like we're talking about the game again. Like it's popular to be extreme about your criticism about stuff, or dunking on like other like the game or stuff like that. And not that I want to do anything like false or ignore that kind of stuff, but my thing was kind of like, all right, let's face the issue head on. And what is I'll say a productive way to engage with the issues that you're having. And again, I can't just, I've come to a realization that like, I can't just orate that in the video because, I'm not going to say it's boring, but like, I don't want to be like an armchair therapist when it comes to like talking about mindsets and how to go about things and how to make things an enjoyable experience. So, there's things that I'm thinking to do with even my own content, just building off the backs of all the content that I've enjoyed over the years. I guess one thing is to Find your people. I think that's probably one of the biggest things is finding your people. FGC, the C is the community. And when you find people that you want to play with, that you want to collaborate with, that you want to, talk about your ideas with, that by itself is just huge in order to keep you going. There's a lot of times during, over the years where I'm like, man, I'm getting 10 views, I'm putting in this work and no one's watching my stuff or gelling with it, but it'd be 2 or 3 people out of those 10 that's yo, I really enjoyed this, keep it going, please, I like your stuff. People in real life too that's really kind of push me along. It's yeah, what I'm doing is worth it. So it makes the time making the video and also and playing the games inside and also outside of doing those things is so much more worth it when you find people that have a similar mindset to you, or you could bounce ideas off of or play games with that that work with your schedule, your way of doing things, that really makes the whole thing a lot more cohesive and just worth it. So I'd say find your people is probably my biggest tip, and stay true to yourself.
So this is something that it's not really a secret, but it doesn't really come up in conversation. But I actually owe a lot of my stuff with fighting games to my cousins, man. My cousin Chad, shout out to him, Sex Play Slick. He's also a musician. He introduced me to Sonic the Hedgehog, and unironically, Sonic the Fighters was my first fighting game I ever played. Somewhere between that and Tekken 3. Right, so those were I was actually a 3D fighter for the longest time. A lot of people that know me probably know me more as a Guilty Gear player. Adjacently, maybe some other 2D games, but no, I actually started playing Tekken, and I guess I lead Sonic the Fighters because my cousin introduced me to Sonic the Hedgehog, and I was freaking hooked. But also, so the real lore, this is the part that isn't again really a secret, but I think a lot of people know because it just didn't come up, is that my other cousin, Jace, actually played a big role, him and Rick, in creating Echo Fox. And so when I was younger coming up, I saw the Echo Fox players. I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? This guy, my cousin did Echo Fox? I didn't know that. You guys play Tekken? Dude, I'm trying to play Tekken. So I was kind of just indoctrinated into 3D fighting just from family associations and whatnot. And so kind of around that same time, Tekken Tag 2 was the game that I started really learning fighting games on. Around that same time was also Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And so that's my origin story, is got introduced to freaking gaming in general, on the PS1 era from my cousin, and then leading into PS2 into PS3 era, my other cousin, me seeing, how far gaming and competing and stuff actually ends up going, was this is a tangible thing. You don't have to necessarily be the best person in the world to go to tournaments, but I didn't know that just anyone could show up and go to Evo technically. Sort of seeing the pipeline of going from just anybody playing the game to on the furthest end, Echo Fox, kind of having that, I guess, 1-to-1, I know this guy who did this, was kind of eye-opening to me. And so from then on, it was just I guess I'm freaking entering tournaments and grinding. So that's kind of what ended up happening there. It's really interesting because I feel the vertical in terms of visibility and stuff is technically smaller because fighting games are a niche of a niche. But at the same time, I do feel that if you sort of, the algorithm is always changing, but if you're really in the scene and you care about fighting games and you're producing content, one video after the next, trying to improve something, kind of because it's a smaller pool of visibility, I feel there's actually a lot of overlap between people who are playing the game and watching the content. So you can kind of become almost a bigger fish in a small pond, if that makes any sense. That's at least been my personal experience. I kind of did the hack of hosting online tournaments during COVID. Well, I don't know if I can say COVID demonetization stuff. During 2020 time, I was hosting online tournaments. And so a lot of these players that were hosting or that were entering these tournaments would then want to go in and obviously watch the VODs and stuff like that. So I started hosting my tournaments and streams actually on YouTube instead of Twitch, because I recognized that the same people that are watching this content are going to be the people that are watching other fighting game content. So if they're watching it on my channel, my videos are then going to be recommended to them, and other fighting game, people who watch fighting game content, it's going to like already give my channel kind of like a boost in the algorithm as to like who my target audience is. And so that kind of allowed me to transition to then also having a bit of a, not a fan base, but just, people in the community who enjoy playing in the tournament, who then watch the videos. So it was a very like symbiotic relationship where, again, it's not, 4 billion views or whatever, like Fortnite video channels or whatever game is popping off right now. But I do, at least from my experience, it does feel like I get more of that community, because again, same people that are entering the tournaments are the same people watching the content, and stuff like that. As far as the wider audience, this is the one that I've been kind of trying to focus on with my content. And what I mean by wider audience is I kind of know that my home base is going to be those competitive players who, again, are already watching the tournament content and stuff like that. So how do I get the people that are a bit more casual into watching my content? That was sort of the biggest thing that I wanted to figure out. And I don't know if this is technically kind of a different portion of like a question. If I'm kind of going on a tangent, just let me know. But one of the things kind of about that, we're talking about like communities and stuff and fighting in communities, that there is that super hardcore demographic that just wants tournaments, wants super niche down, high level gameplay and, match breakdown and analysis. But I do feel like the same sort of hype that got me into fighting games, I want to show other people, just broad appeal. Like, this is why fighting games are hype. So I wanted to try to combine the, entertainment value with the education. So sometimes things aren't necessarily as in-depth or high level, quote unquote, as it could be, but I try to gamify everything. So I do like game shows. One of the best ones that I do that I enjoy a lot is called Clutch or Kick, where I just get the players from my team. We'll probably talk about that in a bit. We just hop into VC. I have some replays. I play a video from a fighting game. I pause it. We got 2 health bars. One person has a lot of health. The other person has only a little bit of health. We just ask the question, does this person clutch around, or are they kicked off the team, essentially? And so it's like a game show where the information that these high-level players have is presented in a play-along sort of game show kind of fashion. Mm-hmm. So that anyone that is watching the video can very easily see, like, okay, this person is probably going to lose, but why would they maybe win? So then the players go and say, oh, they have this much meter, or this matchup is this way, or whatever. So it kind of like disguises the learning process in a game show, which I've seen has a lot of more success in terms of bringing in fringe people who just maybe kind of know that EVO exists or just know fighting games exist. They can watch along without really understanding the deeper portions of the game, and then they sort of get onboarded on via that process. So I've seen a lot of crossover with that, and a lot of people who are more casual kind of coming into the scene from doing different kinds of game shows like that. So definitely a lot of people who are super, again, hardcore, wanting match analysis, breakdown stuff and whatnot. But that number of people is, again, a niche of a niche of a niche. And it does feel really tight knit, and it's super dope. You can just ask somebody a question or just hop on Discord or Twitter or just whatever, how everything is connected these days compared to how it used to be. So it is super tight knit. But from the content creation standpoint, I have been looking at ways to sort of cast a bigger net and bring more people into that inner layer of the fighting game concepts and stuff. A lot of people probably know me as like Mr. BadMoon, so to speak, but it's really funny. Like, I again am known as the Milia player in like Guilty Gear like scene and my local scene and stuff. Not so much probably now because I haven't played a whole lot since like 2022. But the name BadMoon was, it kind of just happened because I ran my online tournaments because again 2020 happened. We needed local, or like their locals died, so we just started hosting all of our tournaments online. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna start streaming these. And since I streamed them for the local community, from then on, more games started getting rollback. So more people wanted to enter from like around, like outside of the region. I was like, I can kind of, I can let more and more people in. And so then when Plus R got rollback, Guilty Gear Plus R, that's when a lot of people were just hopping in. And I was like, I'll just make it be all of NA could join. So a lot of people like Elven Shadow, Digital Watches, like just like crazy Guilty Gear players just like hopping in. And I was like, what the heck? Like, how did they even find this tournament? I live in like a town with like 2 people in it. So that's super cool. But that first tournament, so I used to run Melee tournaments. They were called the Philly cheesesteak brackets because I love Philly cheesesteaks, and it's a pun on my name. And then I ran the Guilty Gear Plus R tournaments, which was called the Sunday Series because I ran it every Sunday. And then when Strive came out, I just ran the Strive tournament as the BadMoon Mondays, because I was playing Millie at the time and I wanted to give each, tournament kind of like a tongue-in-cheek name or just like a reference to something. So it was just BadMoon Mondays. When the first offline tournament happened again for Frosty Faustings in 2022, I think, was like the first eye-opening experience where me getting reintegrated to the community at large was like, I heard a lot of people saying like, oh, yo, it's Lee. Like, oh, like who's Lee? It's like, oh, that's the TO for BadMoon. I just kept on hearing that, like, oh, that's the TO for BadMoon. That's the TO for BadMoon. I was like, oh, okay, I guess, yeah, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the tight-knit community. It's like, oh, these are tangible people who have seen and participated in the things that I'm doing. And so from then on, like, I was like, I might as well just see what I can do with this. So I just took the name BadMoon, and kind of 2 things kind of coincided with that. Since we're talking about BadMoon, I'll go on a bit of a side here. BadMoon is, I don't like to say esports org, quote unquote. It technically is an esports org, but the goal for it is essentially to just be a funnel for some creative projects. And so the whole idea is that work-life balance can be abysmal. So the whole goal was for me to essentially create a product, so to speak, that can facilitate some players or content creators or whatever a bit of a cushion in order to go to events or stream certain things or make different content or whatnot. So the easiest thing that was going to get that off the ground was like, I'm going to start selling jackets, t-shirts and stuff like that. That way when I make content or I do live streams, I can promote the merch, and then all the sales goes into me helping the other players get to different events or other content creators and stuff like that. So that's sort of like the layer 1. BadMoon itself got a lot of other creative projects kind of in the background that we are working on. Again, merch is kind of just like the easiest thing. A lot of other things are bigger scale. As far as like, yeah, BadMoon turning into what it has now, it really was just like, I was running these one of many online tournaments that I was running. Guilty Gear Strive happened to be the biggest game. And so when I started going offline events, people just knew me as Lee, the TO for BadMoon. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to make this be the brand, I guess. And the other joke I have is that whenever I'm playing people, I'll turn to them and tell them I have BadMoon tattooed on my hand, so I never miss the input, TK input. It's not actually a BadMoon, but it's just kind of funny again that it turned out to be that way. It's just the moon with a face, but I guess I was predestined to be a Milia player, I suppose. So you really do have to know why you're doing it. And I think this goes with like kind of most things. It's like a lot of things in general. If you're doing it for the money in and of itself, I mean, it can be done. But again, you're like in a niche of a niche. So you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. It's like, when you're playing a fighting game, the tier list exists. As much as balanced as games have gotten these days, it's like, top one character is top one character. If you want to win, technically the most optimal strategy to do starts at the character select screen, is choosing the character with the most optimal like win condition. So, and the lens of making money or something, if that is like your goal, I'm not saying it can't be done. You definitely do have avenues to make money doing content creation and things like that, but you sort of have to ground yourself with a strategy that is consistent with that idea from the very beginning. And with that is like, it's going to take a lot more work to try to grow something like fighting game content and really esports in general content into like a quote unquote business. The real, I think, object with that is to make something proprietary and like of your own. So what I mean by that is, even if like your video gets like a couple of thousand views, even if it gets 100,000 views, technically speaking, that is still an advertisement for the company that owns the game. So all those thousands of views, if someone chooses to buy the game, they are going to pay the publisher or the company that makes the game, and you don't see a cent of it. You're just seeing, you know, the potential ad revenue, if any. So again, it's like one of those things where it's like, if you want to do this for like money purposes, by all means you can, but you have to have your strategy from the ground up with the understanding that like the AdSense, the views, the exposure, like that's not where the money is. You should just hop on a trend for like any random game, right? So that's one thing, obviously, is just like the vertical for, I guess, like if that's your like business angle kind of thing. The other down, I would say, is I wouldn't really even say this is a down. I think this is just like a condition of doing anything. I think anything can be utilized as a discipline for self-reflection. It's really easy to be like bigger number, better person kind of thing, right? Where it's like, oh, this video gets X amount of views, but this one now fell off. Or I'm just posting and it's just to the void and nobody is seeing, nobody's commenting, right? And that can go on for God knows how long, where it just feels like you're wasting your time, quote unquote. This is like the same, I would say, idea where you just really have to, from the inception, just talk with yourself about, why are you doing this? Because if your goal is, I care about the views, then that is also fine. But again, you have to then start doing specific strategies in order to try to maximize the views within your niche. This is a bit of a different discussion, but really studying like the YouTube algorithm, click rate, click-through rate, audience retention, stuff like that. One of the big reasons why I started doing game shows is because it's one of those things where the person watching the video kind of also has to watch along the entire way through. So if they like the premise, which is in the very beginning, hey, here goes a bunch of rounds, do they clutch the round or do they not? I'm going to watch this whole video through to see if I can beat the score of the people that are playing, right? So from the very beginning, you just kind of have to think about, why am I doing this? If I want views, I am going to simply have to adapt certain strategies. So it goes all the way down. And so the other side of it is, it's like, I just want to upload the local tournaments that I host with, my friends. Because again, that's how it started for me. I wasn't really just making content. It was, again, we needed locals online because the pandemic happened. We didn't have any, we didn't have anywhere really to go. Gatherings were limited. So I decided, in fact, I started streaming just in the Discord itself. We made a Discord for our local community, and I would just pop open my stream in Discord, and then people would just hop in VC and we watched there. And then it was like, some people were missing it, or they'd be at work, or they couldn't watch, or whatever. Because we had some people that were still essential workers and everything. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stream this on YouTube, and it was just kind of one thing led to another. And again, even now, like, my channel isn't huge. We do, for our size, get a good amount of views and whatnot, but it, from the beginning, wasn't to get pretty big, get, you know, like this huge content kind of thing. It really was just, I want the people in my community to be able to watch the events that we were hosting together. And it wasn't until I went to that tournament offline, Frosty Faustings, that I realized like, oh, like I have a pretty big like net here within this scene. I think that with some optimization, these people that are entering my tournaments, like I can help them, you know, get to more events, or like there's so many great artists. That's one of the things that I like too. We'll probably talk about this as well with some of the content I've made. I've made some documentaries because I love highlighting other aspects of the FGC, be it the artists that are here, the musicians. I've worked with some people like C-Fresh, Bootleg, you know, on some different things. And so there's a lot of other things that kind of go into the FGC, where the FGC is like one part of someone's overall identity. So definitely, again, just making those videos to kind of highlight the scene, my scene locally, was the initial premise. And then from there it was like, okay, well, now that I see this could be something, what are some strategies I can do to sort of grow this as a brand? That way I can not just help the people that are in my local community, but now some of the people that I've met online or that I've met up with offline out at these majors who you have talent for art, for music, for whatever. What can we do to create something sick to sort of highlight their passions and stuff? So it's kind of become a bit of a business out of necessity for me. But it didn't start off that way. And I think if you're not very intentional about like what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're going to get from point A to point B, the numbers can very easily bog you down. The effort it takes to make some videos can bog you down. You know, IRL stuff, you know, just trying to take care of yourself basically, you know, on top of doing videos and stuff can be a lot. So it's like, you don't want it to be something that's just over your head that you feel like you have to do, or you're not, you know, accomplishing X, Y, or Z. It's you really got to just like sit with yourself and figure out why you're doing it. Because again, if you're in a bigger niche or like a bigger, you know, you're a bigger creator, I think it's a lot easier in some regards to turn on cam, because you kind of have that a more guaranteed amount of like money you're going to make, where it's like, okay, well, this is my livelihood. Yeah, I'm going to turn on the cam and I know I'm going to get X amount of viewers or whatever. And that's not to say that isn't, you know, its own hurdle when it comes to things. But we're talking about being a small creator in general. It's like, yeah, like, why are you, you know, doing this as a small creator? You really got to just sit down and think about what you're wanting out of the whole experience. I do think that content, in focusing on the numbers and stuff, it can definitely be detrimental. Obviously, we have examples like we were saying too about like bigger streamers and stuff that are, you know, popping off and whatnot. But again, the thing I want to just iterate on again is it's like, if you want to be a content creator to make money, treat it like a business. In the fighting game community, it's not saying it can't be done, but again, we're at the character select screen and we're like choosing a low to mid tier. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that, right? And I'm not saying this to put fighting games down or saying like you can't get like crazy views, but you know, Marvel Rivals popped off, right? Like if you really wanted to like say, hey, I want to get content going, it's like when the next big game comes out, if you really care about numbers like that, just hop on the next big game. You know, if that's where your heart or whatever is on truly, then that's where you, I think, should put your attention. But as you're saying, it's like, where is like the love? Where is the heart truly at? You're being a small content creator specifically in the fighting game space means that you probably have an affinity for fighting games. You know, it's like keep that in mind, that is a big part of that selection at the character select screen. If you select a low tier and you know they're a low tier, there's something about the low tier that you love, you know? So I don't know if that necessarily makes sense, or maybe people disagree with that take. I'm down to be wrong in whatever way, but that's at least the way that I see it. Definitely agree with that. You know, keeping keeping your intent in line and finding the love of the process is 100% the way to go. I feel like there's like, I'm almost like I'm learning something every day for sure, but paradoxically, I feel like it's kind of hard for me to put into words exactly what it is. I think the biggest thing that I've learned probably is just how to optimize my work-life balance with content creation, which isn't directly, about content creation itself, I guess, but I mean, it's one of those things. I definitely think that being like, if I were to just stream, that would probably be like technically, like functionally easier, because I would just boot up game, play game, and then close game. But I don't think that scratches like the creative itch for me as much, and I also don't think I'm a very good like live performer. It's why I have geared myself more towards commentary more than anything, because I just get to react to the game that is happening, and people care about the tournament that is happening more than it really matters like about me and my personality. I serve the function to relay the information that is happening on screen to the audience, and I find that is really fun. But me coming up with ideas or trying to be creative while I'm playing the game is something that is like pretty difficult. So what I've learned is I can sort of combine what I enjoy from commentary with the content creation process. And that goes again into the game shows that I do. I do a lot of different kinds of game shows where I'm essentially the host and my players are a lot of the personality, and people enjoy watching the video for the format. And then I just have to kind of guide things along. And it also makes the editing process a lot easier because a lot of it is like already scripted. We get from point A to point B to point C, and then I'm allowed to do far less edits, which then conserves a lot of time that I have because burnout is real. I've tried to be consistent. I've definitely gotten more consistent these days, but it's interesting. I cannot like edit every single day. It does not work for me that way for whatever reason. What works for me is I record a video and I gotta edit it and pump it out like immediately. Otherwise, it's just not gonna get done. So I've sort of developed some formats and stuff that allow me to do that. Again, game shows or like coaching videos. I've done a couple different coaching videos, how to play guides, where again, they all follow the same format. I hop in VC with some of my players, and we talk about the game, or we talk about the game show, or we do like a coaching session, and then one stream of consciousness kind of video, kind of flow, minimal edits. I'll spend either like an hour to sometimes like 8 or 9 hours, however long. The longest videos, and this is why I stopped doing stuff like this, longest videos are ones that would take me like, multiple days to edit down. And then I'll be a couple days into the edit and it's like, man, I'm freaking kind of like pooped on editing. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and then I don't get back to it for who knows how long. So I would say definitely for me, it's just like learning my particular workflow in accordance with my IRL stuff and my IRL responsibilities. I kind of realize now, like, I need to just record a video, edit it, have it ready to go the next day. So a lot of that is going to then require me to have video ideas and concepts lined up in advance, and then I block out what days we're going to get together to record those videos, and on those days I record, edit, and then schedule them to upload on the following XYZ days. So that's, I would say, like one of the big things to really learn, and kind of like what we were saying earlier, a lot of it comes down to just editing and just making videos. You're not going to learn something like that until you start trying new stuff out and trying videos and trying to upload. Because if I didn't ever start trying to do what was at the time suboptimal for me, which is just like binge record and then like edit like every single day, all these different like super high edit cuts and stuff like that. If I didn't go through that process, I wouldn't have realized that it was unsustainable for me. So Circling back to what we were saying earlier, definitely just starting it. It might be suboptimal initially, but I think just as you're doing it, the learning process is you'll start finding what works for you for sure, I think. At least in theory, if you keep doing it and applying yourself. So that's definitely what I've learned. It's just, again, that work-life balance. That's kind of funny because like the content that I actually watch on YouTube or just in general, there's like two forms of it. There's content that I watch for research, and there's content that I watch for like actual enjoyment. A lot of the videos that I watch for enjoyment are actually like ironically not very like FGC related. It's a lot of like philosophy or different like politics stuff and whatnot, or just like things like personal edification. With the addition of Yu-Gi-Oh! I love card games. I love watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. So as far as like enjoyment, it's kind of like out of, I guess, left field. But when it comes to the actual content creation process, I really enjoy, of course, obviously, like Maximilian is the godfather of, or one of the godfathers of like FGC content. Going back to, again, when I was getting into Marvel 3, those like the Assist Me videos and everything is what I got into, what got me into playing Marvel and learning about the game. So a lot of the times when it comes to watching content for me, it is study. It's like tape review to see what is working. And so I break that down to a couple of other concepts. So for Max's angle, I look at like the core of why that worked. And it goes into like 2 or 3 core ideas, which is it's hitting like the fringe, like general casual audience. So people that maybe know fighting games exist and know Evo exists, but don't know all the intricacies of it. And then it combines entertainment with education. So that's like at the core of what I've taken from like Max's initial content and whatnot. So from that, I then watch videos and YouTubers like Diaphone and Gecko Squirrel in order to sort of see, okay, these guys are doing something that works and is obviously growing. So what is replicable from like just an analytical sense that I can copy and paste that will apply to the formats that I'm doing? And the biggest things that I've learned from them is honestly storytelling. Storytelling is like really big. Brian F is also great at like storytelling. In terms of like, here's the premise for the video, and we are going to get from point A to point like Z in a very like interesting like staircase kind of way. I think Brian F is really great at doing that. And lastly, what I would say, kind of again out of the wheelhouse of fighting games, the YouTuber and commentator that used to do a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, but now is doing more so Counter-Strike is Fi. The last time they uploaded like a YouTube video for Yu-Gi-Oh was a year ago. But again, the storytelling that those channels do for the sort of chronicling like different timelines from Yu-Gi-Oh's competitive history or just the history of a card in particular is very interesting. So I haven't really delved too much, I think, into the storytelling angle of content creation. The closest thing that I did for that, I would say, is the video we did where we turned a fight stick we turned a folding table into a fight stick, which hilariously enough, it's messy right now. I might like send a picture of it. We then built a folding table fight stick arcade cab, which luckily also actually got nominated for an Evo award, which is pretty cool. We didn't win it, but it is what it is. So like those videos that I was doing is kind of experimented with the storytelling angles of it, but I definitely haven't optimized that. And I think it would take some effort too for me to figure out a way to sort of combine the game show elements that I have with storytelling. And I'm not really too sure if it's worth for me, again, just talking about work-life balance and whatnot. I think if it were something that I enjoyed really doing, I probably would already be implementing some angles of it. So it's one of those things where like, even though I do enjoy watching it and I do analyze it and try to see why it's working and like what about it exactly is working, It's one of those things that I think from that angle, if I really tried to implement, it would start taking some of the fun out of it. And then again, that work-life balance gets ruined. The reason why you're doing it, kind of gets ruined. So those are kind of like a bunch of different content creators in different wheelhouses. But that's the way that I like to break things down. There's like the content that I put on before I go into bed, or just, like a podcast if I'm going somewhere that I listen to, and that's a bit separate than the content that I watch specifically for like analytical purposes, for edifying my own like YouTube like game. And as a side note, I actually want to shout out your own storytelling because you've done a really great job with that, like the different martial arts strategies or the different like origins of like martial arts videos and whatnot, and just some of the other like niche games that you cover. I think I've seen like a progression of your storytelling elements as well. So that's another one of those things that I think I personally don't excel at. So definitely props to you guys and the people that are able to do that. So for sure, think about why you're doing it and just put something out. It's like you might not even really figure out like everything about why you're doing something, because that also is going to change, or it can change, just as you're uploading more. But as long as you're like having the precognition to recognize that you are doing this with intention, I think it kind of sets yourself up for it's like a preventative measure to like know like burnout is real, numbers are a thing, this and that. I think just uploading and being introspective all the way through is a good recipe. I mean, maybe it's not that deep. Like maybe you just upload if you want, and then maybe you never upload again, right? But under the the what is it called? The idea here is that you're aspiring content creators. Like you want to create content. And that is like a different premise than I'm just uploading just to upload. I think just upload and being introspective all the way through is gonna help you, because you can apply strategy, you can learn the algorithm and whatnot, but if like it comes to a point where like you realize like, oh, I actually don't want to care about being super big or getting all these views or doing the tactics to play the YouTube game, it's like if you're not checking yourself on that, then you might end up just getting lost in the numbers and all this other stuff for no reason, and then getting burnt out and thinking that you hate making content when it turns out you actually enjoyed just doing something for your local community, or just showing off like this super new setup that you like, cool setup that you found for this like niche game and everything. So that's some like layer, I would say like layer one advice that is you can take that idea and apply it to pretty much anything. If I were to do like content creation specific advice, I would say you don't have to do this in particular, but doing a tournament series is a huge hack in terms of like getting people to care about anything initially, because the whole thing with like content and stuff is consistency and visibility, right? You can have like some of the best content in the world, but if nobody sees it, it's like, again, introspectively, why do you care about this? Is it because you want people to see it, or you just enjoy the art form? On the other side of the thing, maybe a lot of people see like one of your videos, but they don't care to like engage with it. It's like, what does that get you? So again, this is just what I did, and I kind of stumbled into this once I recognized its potential. Running a tournament series is like, oh, all these people tune in to, or all these people enter the tournament, so they're probably going to watch the VODs back. And then equally so, there's people who are going to be watching these players because it's like, oh, I want to learn Leo Whitefang and Guilty Gear Strive. I'm going to watch this tournament, or I'm going to watch this player, this high-level guy, play this character, and I'm going to learn something, right? So you're just hitting everything from multiple angles. And then as a content creator, being able to like learn how to do commentary and riff off the fly is a really good skill, really good communication skill to have, just as well, just like in your life in general. So people then are going to start associating that channel or that brand with you, your personality, which then makes it easier to then pivot into doing short form content, either YouTube Shorts or very specific videos online about like X game or, you know, X technique or whatever. And so even if you don't do tournaments, if you can take the idea of a tournament and sort of copy and paste that, it gives you like a blueprint of here's something that people are going to care about, and here's like something that's going to guarantee at least X amount of people are going to watch. So take with that what you will. Again, if you can figure out a way to do something similar that isn't a tournament, cool. Tournaments are really easy, in my opinion, to like get the ball rolling, but it does come with, as with everything else, a lot of other caveats, because running the tournament means, you know, being there every single week at a certain particular time for a certain particular time. If you can make that commitment or not, you know, just because of your IRL obligations, that's one thing. And then also just like managing, you know, some of these tournaments get really big. TNS is like the biggest one right now, which gets like over 100, 200 entrants. I think like Street Fighter, I think gets in the 400 or something, you know, so having multiple people to run the pools and check in and whatnot is also another caveat, right? So it comes with a lot of different things, but I think the idea of hosting event that people will care about as like a hack to get eyeballs on your content initially is a really, really good like foot in the door kind of thing. And if you want to look at some content creators that have kind of do that, I think a good example is Jeek running the Jeekly. Shout out to them, online series, friend of the channel. They've been holding it down for a good little bit, mainly Guilty Gear, but they explored into like 2XKO. Now they're doing some like team league stuff where they have like a 3v3 or like a 5v5 over the series of a couple of different leagues. And they're at like over 1,000 subs now. I think they might even be close to 2K subs now on YouTube. Same with like Aegis. They do a lot of things outside of the FGC, and they're more so on Twitch. I think they do upload their VODs to YouTube, but same idea. A lot of people tune in to watch those events. And the nice thing with that too, though, it's kind of paradoxically, we're talking about the fighting game community. Well, not paradoxically, it kind of like works together, I should say, is that it really also highlights the community aspect of the fighting game community. Because when your event starts getting bigger, you kind of need people to help you run it, which means there's now more people that care about the event, because people are usually down to help run events, or, you know, there's someone who wants to learn how to do commentary, you know, so you start building this networking platform, and now you have a group of people who care about what you're doing and want to help out. A microcosm of that is what's happening right here. I've met Blackmore, even technically pre-COVID, because we went to some of the same locals. Yeah. You know, and we went, you know, kind of like our separate ways on content creation arcs, you know, but at the same time that those IRL connections of we both know we compete, we both know we do this content creation thing, we both enter tournaments, run tournaments, you know, it's like, all right, let's hop on call, let's do this, you know, let's do this dope interview. And so that's sort of, I think, one of the benefits of being in the fighting game community is that you do have that ability to make those connections of people who want to do similar things. And that, again, YouTube doesn't know or care the difference of, you know, the view, really. It's like, hey, this guy likes watching fighting game content and he's watching your content. That's a dub. We're going to push the algorithm to show more of your content to more people that are watching fighting game content. So I think that's like one of the big things to kind of take away, again, is like running events and just getting involved with literally the community is going to give people a reason to care about what you're doing or what you're saying. So
what's up, guys? So yeah, my name's Trev. My real name's Casey, and I don't care if people call me Casey, it's fine. But yeah, I'm from Northern California, father of two, been married for 14 years. I've been in the fighting game community, I would say, since like 2011. Like I was kind of late into it, I guess. I mean it's 2026, I know, but what got me into fighting games, honestly, was 1995 Straw Hat Pizza, and I saw the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet, and I just fell in love with Mortal Kombat. Kept playing Mortal Kombat, you know, throughout my childhood. even in high school when like Halo 2 was big, I was playing Halo 2 with all my friends, but I was still playing, you know, MK, Deadly Alliance, and Deception. And let's see, freshman year of college, I got really into martial arts. Like I was really into Muay Thai. And so I was looking for different, I was playing a lot of Tekken. And so like Bruce was my favorite character. And then a friend of mine told me about Dead or Alive 4. And so I found Dead or Alive, and because they had a Spartan in the game. And so that was really cool. So I played that and found Zach, and Zach was like a Muay Thai fighter. And I was like, oh shoot. So it was always like, I was playing Tekken and Dead or Alive back and forth as well as Mortal Kombat, and just fell in love with Dead or Alive 4. So, and then another friend of mine actually said, you should check out Dead or Alive 3, dude. That's like that's even better. So I was playing that. And then when Mortal Kombat 11 came out, I got really into that, and Mortal Kombat X. And after Mortal Kombat X, I started playing a lot of Dead or Alive 5 as well. So I was really into that. But yeah, that's I'd say like Mortal Kombat X is when I started like kind of really like getting into the communities of fighting games. Like I started, you know, participating in Discord and everything. I was never really big into like forums or Reddit or anything like that. No content creating. I was just kind of like, you know, just playing in lobbies with friends or climbing ranked or anything like that. I was never really into like the traveling or competition, but I was always paying attention to all the different, you know, I was paying attention to like Evo and Combo Breaker and CEO and all those different tournaments that if it had Mortal Kombat, Dead or Alive, or Tekken in it, those are the 3 games I was watching. I used to, or I still do. I'll listen to this this YouTube channel called the Nethercast. It's primarily Mortal Kombat, but it's like a NetherRealm Studios, because I do Injustice as well. And I used to listen to that podcast a lot, and also, I used to listen to like Ultra David and James Chen, their Street Fighter channel as well. And when I would listen to the podcasts, I always had like kind of something to offer, or something not like in the podcast and stuff, but I was always like, I always had something to say. Like I always wanted to either add on to it, and you don't want to ever like impose on other people's stuff. And I've always had that mentality of like, you know, I'll just do it myself. And I remember telling my wife too, is like, you know, I never really wanted to stream, but I wanted to create like a YouTube channel. And I remember Project L now 2XKO, but at the time, you know, Project L was coming out, and I was really excited about that because I played a lot of League of Legends. And so I wanted to make a podcast like primarily about that one, but I didn't want to limit myself to just one game. So I started doing a lot of, you know, I was doing 2XKO, I started doing like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, and then later got into like Dead or Alive. So I really was just, what got me into it was just watching other content creators. Like Brian F is like one of my favorite content creators. Others like not just not just fighting games. I'd also watch like Tim the Tapman is like one of my favorites as well. In watching their content and kind of taking inspiration from that, and you know, kind of wanting to like put my own flavor to it, my own style. So it's kind of like one of those things that's like, you know, I want to do that, but I want to do it like my way, you know, a little bit different. And I also was like, I want to do things about what I enjoy doing, you know? So I didn't want to just not necessarily limit, but it's really hard for me to actually make content about something that I'm not interested in. I have a couple other friends that I'm in a, you know, like kind of a close circle with, and one of them said that he will make content like he'll play 300 hours of Ken and he hates Ken from Street Fighter, and just to make a guide on Ken, you know, and he goes, you're going to make content about something that you don't particularly like, or you're going to have to learn characters you'll never play if you want to make a guide or make content about those specific characters. And that was really really hard for me. And I have done that before, like make content about something that I like, but it was like it was dreadful. I hated doing it.
Yeah, because I've done that in the past too. Whenever I would make Tekken 7 guides too, back in the day, and it feels like you're pulling teeth while trying to make it, because you're like, man, I can really just use this time on something else completely.
Yeah, like I would hate to make a guide on Lucky Chloe. Like, God forbid I had to make a guide on Lucky Chloe, or like, oh gosh, what's another character I hate doing? Like Claudio. I would hate to make a guide on Claudio, you know? So they're like, yeah, you're gonna either make guides or make content about characters and games that you don't particularly like. Because like right now, like here's another thing too. It's like, for instance, I'm a huge Avatar fan. I love Avatar. And me and my kids watch Avatar. I got them really into that as well. Oddly enough, like I really want to play the game. I'm just not interested in playing it right now because I've been playing a lot of Dead or Alive, especially getting ready for Dead or Alive 6 last round. And then, I've been playing a lot of Tekken 8 as well. I play other games too, like Marvel Rivals. I play a lot of that. And oddly enough, I just have no desire to play it. And so I want to make content about it, but I just know it's not going to be good if I do, because I just don't want to play it right now. When I was playing a lot of League of Legends, is always with my friends, or I was playing a lot of ranked. And to be honest, like League of Legends as well, I played a lot of Heroes of the Storm as well. I don't know if you remember that. That was Blizzard's MOBA. I literally turned chat off because it was so just unbelievably toxic. I played a lot of Halo 2 and Halo 3 when I was into FPSs, Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2 as well. And those are kind of just typical first-person shooters, you know? It's kind of the Wild West back in the day. You just, don't really, people would say just random things and stuff, but you don't really get into that. The biggest communities I was really a part of were actually non-gaming related. So in my recent video, I talk a little bit about it, which is I was really into snowboarding and wakeboarding. Those are like two things I grew up doing. And in the snowboard community, in comparison to because the fighting game community is completely different than any other gaming community. Like there's no comparison to it. But as far as like snowboarding, it was weird because nobody cared about what kind of snowboard you rode, what kind of jacket you wore, what did you like to ride park? Did you like to ride, just do some hard turns on a groom slope or whatever. People just like to do what they like to do, and everybody was just cool with it. There was no skier versus snowboarder animosity or anything like that, at least not where I'm in Northern California. And it was so everybody kind of pushed themselves to get better. If you didn't want to push yourself to get better, that's fine. Nobody cared. Everybody just wanted to have fun, have a good time, and it was a very loving community and everything. There, you would find your bad apples every great so often, but I mean it was very few and far between. With the wakeboard community, that one was a little different. It was kind of the same. Definitely, when you're on the boat, you're out there, everybody's pushing, trying to get better, trying to land the next trick, and try to work on your style and whatever. But there definitely was some animosity a little bit amongst the different board companies, to where if you rode a Ronix board, you didn't hang out with the people who rode Liquid Force. But when you got to the pro level, just nobody cared at all. And in comparison to those communities in the fighting game community, it was I found that there is it's a lot more welcoming, and a lot of people are kind of pushing to get you better. But there's also and this is all communities, by the way, there are going to be your people who just talk a lot of trash and do everything like that, and then they'll get into talking trash outside of the game and everything. But I found that if you just stick to the people that are really welcoming and really who want to push to get you better and want to help you get your better. Those are always like the most welcoming and nice people, and those are the people I kind of gravitate towards. So I found that I found that the fighting game community is a lot more like it's a lot more like the wakeboard community. When you got to the pro level, they are like pushing each other to get better, trying to I compare it to landing tricks to landing a combo in a match, and they're trying to work on different matchups, different combo routes, defense, and they're all trying to do they're trying to push each other to get better. But there's always going to be like the people who either want to keep things to themselves, they want to keep people locked out, a little bit at gatekeeping. But that, like I said, that's kind of like every community. There's always going to be the people who want to keep it out or be unwelcoming. But that's just kind of the nature of it.
What are the ups and downs when it comes to being a FGC content creator that you would say?
In my opinion, I kind of miss just being a gamer. As far as content creating goes, like it's always on my mind what is either the next topic of the video, or when there's news or something comes out, you have to be on top of it. You have to keep up with the YouTube algorithm. You gotta think, you want to be, especially if you're dealing with like news, like things that are relevant to what's going on right now. You kind of want to be one of the first people to do it, or one of the first couple of people to actually cover it. So I kind of miss just sitting back and enjoying it. So that's like kind of the downs of it is you're always busy. Your mind is always busy thinking about like, covering the next topic or what my next video is going to be. I think of course you're always going to have the people who dislike you. I've learned to just ignore that and just remain positive. The ups is when, so that's the downs. The ups is definitely the people that you meet and the relationships that you create within the community. The people, kind of like I was saying before, is the people who want to push you and make you, get you better. That's the big ups. And I do like when, it always feels good when you make a video and people really like it. I read all the comments. So if I go to the comment section and people engage, that's one thing I love is when people are actually engaging, even if they disagree. I love it when people disagree, and especially if people who disagree with something I said or disagree with each other. If you're respectful about it, that's great. I want you to have discourse. But the downs is when you're going to get people who are just going to be hateful. But then the ups is when you get people who are going to converse and engage with one another. And that's a good part because you're kind of helping create that community for people. So that's a big up for me. And I think another down, and because I read some of the questions that you gave her, I think another down, I'll elaborate on this, is when you spend hours and hours on a video, I've spent 72 hours straight, not in a row, but 72 hours working on a video for it to get less views than a video that only took me 6 hours to make. Like, that's annoying, So, I mean, you're gonna run into that. That's just a part of content creating. That's the other thing about content creators is like, you're not entitled to anybody watching your stuff. If you're not getting a lot of views, that's like how I see it is I reflect, okay, what did I do wrong? Like, was it the topic? Was it the video? Was it the thumbnail? Was it the title? Okay, something I did wrong it's not getting a lot of views because of that. And so then you got to dig deeper into it and see like why this didn't do good. And that's fun to me. I actually like, digging deep into the analytics and finding out like, what I did right and what I did wrong. But yeah, when you spend all this time and you're like, oh, I spent like 2 hours working on this thumbnail and everything, and and you want to do a really good, you want to do a good job and you want to be appreciated for the work that you did, and then it doesn't get a lot of views. You're like, oh shoot, dude, I just, like, yeah, that's annoying. So that's definitely a down of it. Burnout is one of the biggest. So I started content creating, I think in like my first video was like in 2023, early, like it's either late 2022 or early 2023, or it might have been late. I don't know. I'll have to look. But I was creating content for a good year and a half. And I was actually growing really rapidly, but it got to a point where I was just like, dude, I don't want to make anything. And remember how I said earlier that I was like, I just miss being a gamer. I just miss playing the games that I want to play, not worrying about like making some kind of video out of it, not worrying about like climbing a ranked ladder and playing characters I don't want to play so I can understand them better, like make a guide out of it or something like that. And yeah, I got to. Like I've gotten that. And also I think even when I started getting back into content creating like 7 months ago, I told myself, you're not going to get burnt out. Only make content about things that you want to make about. Like, work hard, do it right. Focus on the things that you need to focus on, but I'm only going to make content about stuff I'm interested in. And so I've been doing like a lot of Dead or Alive. I want to do some more Tekken stuff as well. That market's pretty, I wouldn't say saturated, but there's a lot of really strong content creators in the Tekken community. And not that there isn't in Dead or Alive. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying like Tekken has a big following. But as far as burnout goes, is like, I don't want to get burnt out like I did the time before. So take a rest if you need to, like take a week, like take 2 weeks off from even thinking about content creating, and just play, have fun, spend as much time as you can with your family and do that. And if you need to, take it. I remember actually, I told myself, okay, I'm going to take like 2 weeks off, and then, the state of play, Dead or Alive 6 LR and the Dead or Alive 7 announcement dropped. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not taking a break. So then I just hopped right back onto it. There was no break.
Yeah, I've experienced burnout myself, especially when it comes towards content creation. And I try to like set goals aside of like, okay, I'm going to just take a break here and let me just have these scheduled uploads right here while I'm taking my break. And then, just like recently, with out of nowhere, we get the announcement that, Yasmin gameplay trailer drops tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not taking my break now.
Yeah. Did you like it? What did you think about Yasmin?
I'm actually thrilled. Just overall of what I was seeing. It's funny enough, it's very anime-esque, which is such an interesting archetype to just see Capcom lean into that a bit more with Street Fighter 6. But for me, what I love the most is just seeing like just the very first time of just not only a Filipino character showing up, but just seeing Karambit just showing up in a Street Fighter game, which I never thought that would happen.
Yeah, I remember when they first showed her, like during the initial, like, they do the season, they drop all the characters that they're going to release throughout the season. She was doing like what looked like a karate kata. And I was like, oh, she's probably going to be another karate character. I hope she's not another Shoto. But it turned out she was cause I didn't see the Karambit then. I don't know, but I'm glad she's a dope looking character. And she has I really like the fight style. Definitely different. She reminds me a lot of, she looks like a more agile Ed, so look, I'm definitely gonna try her out. She looks pretty cool.
How do you balance playing competitively and making content?
Well, I'm not a big competitor. I'll never say that I'm up there, that I'm as good as the top player. Like in the top players, like the guys like Excalibur Blades, Hoodless, Mr. Quiggle, and all those guys. Like I'll never be there, and I actually find a lot of joy and satisfaction with climbing ranked. And when I go into the lab, when I work on game and character mechanics and work on different combo routes and all that stuff, it's so I can climb the ranked. And once I get to the rank, which by the way, one of the biggest things I really, really want Team Ninja to do for Dead or Alive 6 last round is I hope they do 1, casual matchmaking, 2, individual character rank. And that's one thing I love about modern fighting games, like with Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6, is that you can climb to either God of Destruction or Master rank with individual characters. So that way you can actually, one, it's having the satisfaction of getting there, but also having to grow as you move up in higher ranks. So that's what I really like to. I really love unlocking different aspects of the game too. I'm the biggest, in Justin Wong's term, I'm the biggest try hard casual there is. That's where I find my joy in fighting games. And I like going to locals and I like going to competitions. They're fun, but I would actually rather go to Evo and not compete. That sounds fun to me. And so, but balance, I find that helps me with content creating is enjoying the game, not just on the competitive level. And as you dive into lore and rank and unlocking things, and so one of my favorite content creators is actually Mike Trolinsky. He's a Mortal Kombat content creator, and he'll do things like climbing. He'll do things like doing the hardest ladder with my least favorite character, and he's really entertaining, and that has a lot going for him. But the content that he makes has nothing to do with competition and everything to do with in-game stuff. And that's what I try to work on, is climbing ranked and unlocking different outfits and costumes, different borders and everything. And I think as I have fun with the game, that helps me to make better content, because like I said, I'm not just focusing on the competitive aspects of things, and I love the competitive aspects of games. I actually me and my one thing, my son loves to watch Street Fighter tournaments, and I enjoy sitting back and watching them. I would rather watch Combo Breaker than compete in it. So that so having to balance the two was never an issue for me, because I never had to worry about the way I performed competitively, and that never had to transition over to content creating. I went to King's Cup. It was the first and last Dead or Alive 6 offline tournament, and it was awesome. Zaku, Nico was there. Got to meet Aquariaverse and Dom, another guy in the Dead or Alive community. And dude, I had and Beely was there. It was so much fun meeting all the different people and actually just hanging out. And later, I think me and Dom played some an exhibition, and just watching Nico versus Zaku play, that was so much fun. I had way more fun watching it than actually competing. So, I mean, I'd much rather in my from my point of view, I one of my favorite personalities in the FGC is actually Tasty Steve, the Tekken commentator. And dude, I've never seen him play anything. I'm sure he has. He's probably competed, but I've never seen him play it. But dude is one of the best commentators ever. And so I I kind of resonate more with that than I do the actual competitors. Yeah, video editing is the biggest thing that I've learned, and it's actually like I've actually been asked by one of my market managers at work to edit and make some videos. So that was really cool to actually like translate it into my work. But I've also taken a lot of work into here as well. So I work. I don't want to say with a company that I do work with, but I work in sales and marketing. And so I've actually taken a lot of the things I've learned in work and applied it over here. And I've taken some of that logic as well. You know, I mean, it's definitely taken like the analytics, trying to remain positive, but also realistic. Cause I always approach all of my videos with a more, with a very positive approach, but I also try to remain realistic. And I think video editing, my vocabulary has increased a lot with content creating. I have a really hard time with speaking off the cuff. Now, this is different because we're conversing, but you can't converse with a camera. So it's really difficult for me to just speak off the cuff, you know, about things. Like, I've watched Emery Reigns, Brian F., Zaku. I've watched them live on Twitch recording their videos, and I was like, dude, I can't do that. So I have to write a script. And so I also learned, I took what I learned in my creative writing classes when I was in college and applied it into there. And I've also learned like to have proper vernacular and proper oration. I've actually like increased in here from content creating. I've actually learned to speak more clear and concise and have a more be a better orator. And that's actually applied at work, especially when you're giving like presentations and everything at work. It's actually like really helped me a lot there. So I've actually, it's kind of gone both ways in a way, that to where I've taken the things I've learned here and applied it at work. And I've also taken the things I've learned at work and also at college too, and applied it here too. So it's kind of like, it's just life, dude. You just like learn things. You take things, from different different experiences and just apply it.
It's crazy what you go through when making content, and just realizing along the way that, man, something like this I never would have thought I'd end up picking up.
Yeah, you never think about that at all. I've also learned too is what's funny is the way I talk, I actually switch. So the way I talk here is going to be a lot different than the way I talk because when I read a script, I'm performing. So it's going to sound a little bit different than the way I actually talk. And I noticed that a bunch when you would actually see the audio clips. And I use DaVinci Resolve. So I would actually see that in the audios. And I learned how to properly enunciate words to be more clear and concise, because when I would actually say things, all of my sentences were like one long word. And so I had to I had to slow down with the way that I speak. And I also had to be more, I had to like pause like I'm doing right now so I can actually find the right words to say, and just be more clear with all the different words. I had to learn how to stop saying, you know what I mean? Like I had to learn how to stop saying stuff like that. So I took a lot of time to actually like work on proper enunciation and proper oration when I started creating content.
What keeps you motivated to keep creating? What keeps you going?
I find a lot of satisfaction when I create something and complete it. So I'm ADHD, right? I was diagnosed when I was in the third grade, and I've always been motivated by completing a task and having it be completed and being exactly the way I wanted it to be. And like I said, I've always been one of those kinds of people who's just like I'll just do it myself kind of person. So what keeps me motivated is actually the puzzle and the completion of making a good video, especially with something that I thoroughly enjoy, like Dead or Alive, like Tekken, and some other fighting games as well, but primarily those are the two games that I play the most. So and also seeing, like I said, I love to read the comments, and I like to see people like what I make. And so when I see that people are liking the creations that I took a lot of time and effort, it actually gives me a lot of satisfaction in doing that. So that's one of my biggest motivations. Like, I'm, being a small content creator, you're not really, you don't make money. I make I think a grand total of $100 a month. And so I remember the first paycheck I was like, it was $120, and I ended up giving away 2 copies of Dead or Alive. So it's like, I'm obviously not doing this for money. I'm doing this because I enjoy Dead or Alive. I enjoy fighting games, and I enjoy making content for them. So creating a good video that people enjoy watching that's a goal. That's something I like to do. My favorite content creator is actually FeedEX. The Tekken content. He makes a lot of Tekken. He does some Street Fighter stuff. Recently he's been getting into Street Fighter. I like his analytics upon gameplay, especially when he actually like breaks down different characters. I like when he actually breaks down the way that pros play their characters. And one of my videos was partially influenced by him. Was when I broke down 2 different characters with or 2 different professional players who play the same character to see how they play it differently. And a lot of that was influenced by FeedEX. And I really like Brian F. That's another content creator I look up to. In the DOA space, Zaku is someone I look up to a lot. I like his positivity and his welcoming, and he's really knowledgeable of the game. He's been playing it for a long time. Emery Reigns is also someone that I look up to. He's also extremely knowledgeable of the game, and he's been doing this for a long, long time. I remember watching Emery Reigns and Nico also back in Dead or Alive 4 when I was playing Dead or Alive 4. Yeah, they were always a lot of fun to watch. And Emery Reigns is a really good orator too. I know I'm missing something. Oh, one of my favorite all-time content creators is actually the Blasted Salami. That is one of my favorite content creators to make. I think it's been quite a long time since he made anything, but he was a really good orator. He was very clear. His guides were awesome. I discovered him on his Tekken 7 Lydia video, and then I just watched like all of his videos. So he was a lot of fun to watch. So the Blasted Salami is probably who I take the most. FeedEX, Blasted Salami, and Brian F. are like the 3 I take probably the most influence from.
What advice would you give to other inspired creators out there that want to get into the fighting game space?
First off, turn on the camera, get yourself a mic, and hit play and start just making content. Don't listen to that voice in your head that says don't do it. If you feel like you have something to say and you feel like you can bring value to the table, do it. There's nothing stopping you. And when you do start doing it, just learn and grow and make every video better than the next. Just keep, what new editing technique can I work on? How can I, what oration technique or vernacular technique can I work on? How can I sound more clear and concise? How can I also be what flavor can you add to the table? Is one thing that I did was when I started creating content, I was like, what is everybody else not doing? and where's there a gap in the content creator space, and how can I fill it? So you got to think of stuff like right now. It's like, okay, we're looking like right now. It's like, I think there needs to be more Dead or Alive content. There should be way more content creators. Like, please, more content. Where I want to find the 18-year-old prodigy that lives in like Italy or New York or somewhere. You know, like we need more content creators, more competitors, and how can I be as positive and welcoming as possible? Because if you want Dead or Alive to grow, if you want the fighting game community in general to grow, you need to have a much more welcoming and positive space. You need to be able to be as inviting, be as friendly as possible to make it to be a welcoming and open place for people. So like I'm telling like anybody that would listen, if you are, you know, if you are 18 years old and you're considering doing this, 100% absolutely make the content. Keep making the content, make it better in every single video that you're making. Don't be afraid to do it. And listen, you like, if you're afraid of what people are going to say about you, you are going to be, whether you're going to be a shill or a, Brian F made this video. It's a brilliant video, by the way. Anybody suggesting content creating should also watch it. You are going to have people who don't like you. That's fine. I choose to ignore them. It's a waste of time. It is a complete waste of time to engage. So you're going to have someone to somebody, you're going to be a shill. To somebody, you're going to be a grifter. Just ignore it. Just make the content. If you feel like you have value to bring, freaking make the content, dude. Just turn on the camera, turn on the mic, and hit play. In my case, write your script first. But yeah, and yeah, that's my big advice. Just, dude, make the content. Ignore the voice in your head. Ignore anybody who says otherwise. Just make it, dude. Just get on it.
So I'm DC Theo. Basically, my channel is all about supporting locals, going to events. I talk a lot about controllers as well. You'll see a pretty good amount of Virtua Fighter content. My main focus is around like the community and culture of fighting games. To answer your question when it comes down to how I got into fighting games, I generally think about that in like 3 phases. So like you got when you were a kid, right? And you're just pressing buttons on a game. That for me was Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I think that's the first time I ever really played a fighting game. But that was probably like 14, 15. That was just me rolling my face on the remote. So like I don't know if we would count that. Then like it was around the end of Street Fighter 4, like when Elena was super busted. That's when I started, I wouldn't quite say competing, but like playing online, playing ranked, actually like playing fighting games. But I didn't get into the community until like actually going to locals and getting into the community till like, I want to say 16, 17. And if you don't mind me going into my anime backstory a little bit on this, if we got the time, you mind if I ramble for a second?
Oh no, you're good.
So a little bit about me. I took care of my mom for 10 years. She had 2 strokes when I turned 18 and my dad dipped out. And so I had to take care of my mom. I used to compete in card games, not at any particularly high level. I played Pokemon, but like I'd go to my locals. I went to some of our regionals out here. And after I started taking care of my mom, I realized medication's expensive, rent's expensive, all of this stuff doesn't kind of work. And those shiny pieces of cardboard are also expensive. So essentially I had to have a come to Jesus with myself and go, hey, we got to find a new hobby that's for broke people. So I found the fighting game community. And essentially I was like torn between a couple of different possible things I could do because I'm an extrovert. So I like going somewhere and hanging out with people. And so at this point I had already been playing Street Fighter 4 online, just kind of having fun with that, but I hadn't even watched any tournaments. I didn't know what like an Evo was. I think this was like 2014 when that was. But I was playing like Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5 had just come out, so I was playing a little bit of that. So I was looking around on the internet and I found a clip of Nemo putting his hand out to Itazan and Itazan not having anything to do with it. I want to say it was Capcom Cup 2017 when this happened. Might have been 2016. I saw that like malicious energy and said, yeah, I want a part of that. And so the next week I found my local here in Vegas, because that's where I'm from. I'm from Vegas. I found my local in Vegas, and the rest has kind of been history. That's how I got into the fighting game community. So you can blame Nemo and Itazan if you think I'm a menace to society and I'm here in your head talking about going to locals. You can blame those guys. It's not my fault. So yeah, that's basically how I got into the community. So Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was my first game that I ever played, but that was just me mashing buttons. Street Fighter 4 was maybe the first fighting game I took kind of seriously. It's when I started playing online. But it was really that event with Itazan and Nemo that made me go, oh yeah, I want to be a part of these people. This is my group. Like I was saying earlier, I'm a pretty extroverted person. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to pick a new hobby that had people I could go hang out with. So in my time in the FGC, I've seen like the rise of content creators and how that's a thing now. Like it kind of started to be a thing right at the end of Street Fighter 4, but it was really like Street Fighter 5, Tekken 7, that sort of era. That was like what like solidified the content creator thing. And I started traveling around this time period too, like right after or right before COVID. I started actually flying out to events and things like that. And so I was like, oh, let me go watch some videos. What's this tournament like? What's going on here? What's the energy here? And surprisingly, even now, there's very few videos of like actual events or what it's like to go to a local. Or like you'll get people's vlog videos, but it doesn't really capture the energy of what's happening around you or what there is to do or any of that type of thing. So I want to say it was like 24. Maybe it was 24. Essentially, when COVID happened, our local FGC obviously fell off. I mean, that's how it happened for everybody. And a couple of our big spots that we went to locally all closed down too. So we had a new gaming center open up called Velocity Esports, and when they opened up, they took over the spot that our old local used to be at. So I went down and I met with the manager, talked to them, started a fight night. I promise this brings us back to the content creation. We're taking the long way around, I promise. So essentially, after we got Velocity back up and running, a bunch of other locals sprang up all at once. We have a pretty healthy community in Vegas. Like most of our locals average somewhere between 15 to like 75 players if it's a monthly, and that's for various games. That's not all one game, but that's like for the various games that we have in our scene. And the problem kind of became that nobody knew what was happening when, and people didn't know where to go, and it just kind of became a problem. So we have a Discord, Vegas FGC. If you guys are looking for it, it's LVFGC. Or you can just hit me up personally and I'll get you the link if you're here. But that Discord we were coordinating in, but there was an incident that happened where we have one local and it's behind the mall, behind this like specific mall, up on the second floor in these office buildings. But it's not just in the office building. You've got to walk down all these secret hallways to find the room where the monthly is happening. Nobody could find it. No one could find it. So I shot a quick video on my phone, kind of directing people on where to go, and it helped people a lot. This is on this is an archive video on a secret channel that has nothing to do with my current channel, but it got lots of views because everybody didn't know where to go and people kept rewatching it. So something kind of sparked in my head after that. I was like, well, why don't I do more videos about going to your locals? So if you go back to the very beginning of my channel, my first couple of videos are about food places near EVO and like what's going on around EVO and the local events happening around EVO. And then a couple of videos about supporting your locals. And then a bunch of videos basically doing vlog style reviews of each local, where you should park, where you should come in. And that's kind of what started the YouTube career, was like, I saw a need for more actual support your local content, because I feel like that word or that phrase is used by a lot of people, but I don't know how many people actually mean it with their chest. And I think especially now, like in that 2024, 2025 period when like Tekken 8 was coming out, Street Fighter 6 had just come out, like in that time period, we were getting a lot of new players. So what ended up happening for me is I was like, you know what? I want to talk to these new players. I want to talk to them about what it's like going out to an event, why you should go out to an event, and why you shouldn't just play online in your room. And everything kind of stemmed from there. So a lot of my early content was just support your locals, go to these events. Here's what's happening at Frosty's. Here's why you should go to Frosty's. Here's why you should go to Combo Breaker. Here's why you should this. It wasn't until a little bit later that I got into like the comedy skit stuff that you see on my TikToks and on my YouTube shorts and on my Twitter. That's just been kind of like fun side stuff. I just had some creative ideas that I wanted to do, but the core of the channel, and still the core of the channel, has always been about promoting and supporting people going to locals and going to events and things like that. I find it incredibly important, and I'm very passionate about that. I also talk a lot about remotes because I think remotes are cool, and I build a lot of like fight sticks, and like I like that too. So half of my channel is just stuff I like, but the core of the channel is about that. That's how I got into content creation. It was a dumb video I made to show everybody where to go for this one local that's hidden inside of an office building. The fighting game community is wholly unique, in my opinion, to anything I've ever experienced before this. So I go back to my anime backstory, right? My mom got sick. I had to take care of her. No money. I needed a broke boy hobby. Came into the fighting game community. Here we are. The reason I didn't leave after my mom passed away and I started having money again is because even with the card game community, which I would say is the closest to the fighting game community, like there's not the same passion. I think that's the word I'm looking for. There's not the same passion and excitement that I see in the FGC. Like before the fighting game community, I had never been in an arena with thousands and thousands of people screaming over anything really. Like I guess maybe at a concert, but like anything. You know, I think about like the EVO 2022 Cell Scream. Like that's one of my favorite moments of the FGC of all time. There is a love and passion, not just between the players in the game, but between the players themselves, but also the players and the people who make the games, between the players and the people who help run tournaments and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff, as the FGC, we understand each other so well because we've all kind of had to wear these different hats together in order to run everything together. That's part of like the grassroots nature of everything. It's part of the reason why I find locals to be so important. Don't mind me saying that every 5 seconds. The grassroots nature of the FGC, like that being the heartbeat of it, has knit the community together. As opposed to a lot of other communities who are brought together by some sort of game, some sort of corporation. And again, no shade to other communities, not trying to say that they're worse than us or anything like that. But what I am trying to say is that we have a more grassroots, from the heart sort of approach for everything we do. I think that's what separates us. I think that's the big thing. The biggest thing that I've run into that's a down is my content specifically is pretty high effort. I do a lot of editing. Spend a lot of time sitting in front of a computer, like cutting things up and doing voiceovers and throwing animations on top of things. Sometimes it feels like my effort is going to waste. Sometimes because like people just sometimes don't watch your content when you're a small creator. Like, who is this guy talking about Virtua Fighter? Who is this guy telling me to go to locals? I'm gonna go be high master rank online. Get this bum out of my face. So I would say that that's probably the only down to me. So I like to pull back a little bit and talk about content creation in general. In our day and age, all of our markets, all of them, are so saturated when it comes down to content creation. So if you're not making content for the love of the game, basically, because you enjoy making content, you're gonna have a hard time no matter what. The biggest thing I would say is a down. Sometimes I'll put a lot of effort into a video and it just won't get seen. I think the biggest example that I have of this is I did a whole history of the joystick video. And that took me so long to research and so long to edit. And it got like 400 views. And that was really a big bummer. But that's a video that I've always wanted to exist. A lot of my content is stuff that I wish existed before I made it. And I think that that's the core of what you need to be doing if you're going to be content creating in the FGC space, is you need to create something that you wish existed, because 1,000 other people are doing gameplay videos. And unless you want that to exist, like you want your gameplay video to exist, you're going to lose your fire for it, because it's just such a saturated market. Now, I would say that's like the only down, is that sometimes your stuff's just not going to get seen because you're small. There are so many ups to me. The biggest up, the greatest thing that I think I've ever gotten out of this content thing is like it has given me a new angle to enjoy a thing I already loved. So what I mean by that is like I love Frosty Faustings. I don't think if that's a secret. I love Frosty Faustings. That's my favorite tournament. I don't even play anime games. I just love the vibe. Being able to go to Frosty Faustings, play in the tournament, hang out with all my friends, but then also be able to make content about it is so much fun. Being able to run around with my camera, shoot film, think of ideas, make skits, like it's added a whole new angle of how I enjoy the FGC. And I think that that's one of the greatest things, that if you are watching this right now and you want to make content, I can promise you that if you stick with it and you make content you actually want to make, it's going to make the FGC even better. It just makes it more fun, because for me, I'm not the greatest player of any game ever. I'm not no tour, but I'm your mid-boss guy. Like I'm your 2-2, 3-2 guy. So like I'm never going to be the diaphone out here. That's not really the goal for me. But being able to create content after I get knocked out of a bracket, it's really fun. I really love it. And I think that that's the biggest pro that I've gotten out of doing this, is just being able to have another way to engage with our community. I think there's lots of other little things too, especially depending on the type of content you're making. If you're making more game-related content, which is not something I'm currently doing, although that might be changing. I really like Virtua Fighter. If you're making more game-related content, it helps you study and learn your game even more. And I think that that's a huge facet too, is that people who are streaming, especially, if you're just streaming your sets and you running and like doing that type of thing, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's great. And it gives you motivation to practice more so that you're not ass on stream and look like an idiot. So like, I think that content creation in general, when it comes down to the FGC, is generally a good thing. Is there some exceptions to that? Yeah. But I think that there's like a lot of positives to be gained, especially if you have just started doing YouTube or Twitch or any other social media for that matter, or if you're considering it. There's a lot of things that are outside the spectrum of the game that you gain out of doing content. I feel like I'm actually only getting into my content stride like now. I've been making videos for almost 2 years, and it feels like the last couple months is when I've been like, okay, this is actually the stuff I wanted to make originally that I didn't have the knowledge or understanding or skill to make. So I guess the way I would translate that into that question, when you go to your first tournament, you never expect to win, especially if it's like a major. I feel like content creation is like going to a major for the first time. You gotta go a couple times before you're gonna even make it out of pools normally. Don't get me wrong, you get your exceptions. You know, you get some people that just show up and win the major. But it's probably not gonna be you, viewer. Sorry. So what the trick to this is, and the thing when I look back, is this takes persistence and time. I recently heard on a TikTok of all things, somebody describe what it's like to learn a new thing. He said, it doesn't matter if you have nail clippers, doesn't matter if you have scissors, Doesn't matter if you have an axe. If you hit the tree enough, it will fall. Something about that really resonated with me because I feel like the things I've learned over time, which has been like editing tricks and how to talk on camera and like how to move on camera, that's all something that took me hitting the tree with some scissors a lot of times. And I think that that's the main thing that I've learned. There's lots of little things I could talk about. Like when I first started YouTube, if you look at my mouth, go back to some of my oldest videos, for some reason I used to talk out the right side of my mouth like this. I don't know why I did that. Had to fix that. But like things like that, as you learn as you go. I think that it's better to make something and put it out there rather than try to make it perfect. Because if you try to make it perfect before you put it out there, you're just not gonna do it. Like, it's better to start and grow and learn from there. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that it really just takes you whacking away at like content creation to get good. Like, it takes doing reps in the training room, if you will. It takes you practicing your combos. Like, it's very analogous with my journey with fighting games, that like I have gotten so much better at content creation as I've sat down on, you know, on my editor and just practiced and learned and played around with things and tried stuff. And same with on camera, really. But I think that that's the biggest thing, is it's sort of been, for me, a trial by fire and just whacking away at it. And I really think that it's the same for most people. I think that if you're watching this now and you're listening to me, just do it. Whatever content you're trying to make, just do it, because you will get better. And the vision is to make that perfect product down the road. That thing that you've always wanted to see in the world, kind of like how I've done my primer guides and my local stuff. I actually just remade one of my local videos, one of the ones I made at the very beginning of my channel. I just remade it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's so much better. And it's what I wish I could have made almost 2 years ago. You can do that too, but you can only do that if you start, and you got to start to get to that point. So I think that that's the thing that I've taken away from my time doing content, is my stuff's much better now, and that's only because I worked at it. So originally, one of my biggest inspirations was actually Nihongo Gamer. I really liked his fight stick videos. I liked his pour over coffee talk style videos. I really like Majin Obama. I'm a big fan of Majin Obama. I love his stuff. I watch a lot of his streams because I work very early in the morning, so he's still usually streaming when I get up. But I like his content a lot. I would say my biggest inspiration was probably Nihongo Gamer originally. I really like Jadelyn. She does a lot of like behind the scenes stuff. I don't think she does a lot of content work necessarily, but she works with like GDQ, Combo Breaker. She does some content. So like I take a lot of I don't know if inspiration is the correct word, but she feels like she sits in a similar pocket to what I do a lot, because I do a lot of helping with like events and things like that behind the scenes, more local level, not so much regional or major level. But like I've done a lot of that in the past, so I identify with her a lot. So I enjoy any time she does put something up. But yeah, the definitive answer is probably Nihongo Gamer. Like, he's the one that like I watched his stuff, and he had a video a long time ago that was kind of just the Shia LaBeouf "Just Do It" meme. It's from a while back. It's like 2-3 years ago, and so I was like, you know what, you're right, and I just did it. Like, that's kind of what was the final push over the edge to get me to actually just start posting. So I would call him out. That's the one. Like I said, just pull the trigger, do it. That's sort of my mentality, but I do understand that that's scary. So some suggestions. CapCut is free. It has a PC version. Super easy to use if you're an absolute noob to editing. Very helpful. If you're afraid of posting, that's a hard one, because I don't know why you're afraid. What I can say is that there are going to be people who hate. That's just what they do. and that is something that you have to come to grips with. It's sort of like I won't say the price of entry, but it's like the subscription service that you pay if you're going to be doing this sort of like creating type thing, is that you've got to accept that that's a thing. But I promise you that if you're doing content, especially content you're passionate about, you will find so many more people who will love what you're doing and be excited about what you're doing than you will people who are hating on you. It's one of those things, unfortunately, that is kind of a package deal. It's unavoidable. But if you accept that and you're willing to push forward, you should just post. Just go do it. Go make the content that you want to make. But like there are lots of people on like YouTube and other platforms who are much smarter than me at how to start out. I used CapCut at the beginning, and it made it super easy for me to edit my videos and just kind of like figure out how to do that. But you don't need a fancy camera. I would say about a third of my videos that I post, especially my shorts and things like that, all done on my phone. And I have like an older Samsung. I think it's like a S23. And so if you watch my videos and you like the quality of my videos, I'm sure that you have a phone of similar quality to mine, if not better. Like waiting for the right equipment, waiting for things to be perfect. I think this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Trying to make things perfect before you post it just will never happen. You're not going to show up to the major and win. I'm sorry. That's just not how it works. You got to go in there and put in the work. And that's okay. It's okay for it to not be perfect at first. For me, I'm going back to the things I made originally, and I'm perfecting it now because I feel like I'm in my stride. I feel like I've figured out the formula that I want. You're not going to be there. Most of you are not going to be there right away. Some of you will have that like amazing start. You know exactly who you are, what you want, and you've got it. But for the majority of us, people like me, if you're a little bit unsure, if you feel like you can't get it right, I don't think that really is something you need to worry about. What you need to worry about is creating the thing that you want to be out there. Once it's out there, you can fix it later. But there's a hard struggle here because the fear is valid. The internet's kind of a scary place. But at the same time, if you want something, you gotta brave the scary thing that is the internet if you want to do this. And I would encourage you to say that there's going to be a lot more love out there than there is like hate. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and pretend like that's not going to come. So I think that's the main thing is like, just do it. And there is going to be hate. It's going to happen. But more people are going to love than hate.
Something I realized recently that someone's told me before. They didn't realize my name was like Crackhead in katakana.
I thought you purposely had it like that. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I kind of just have it because I thought it was like a really stupid name that one of my friends made. I don't know how to explain it. It's really weird. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of like lore to this name. I started out when I was like 3 years old, and my dad had like an Xbox 360, which he used to play like a bunch of fighting games on. And we had this like game collection from like Capcom called like I think it was just a Capcom collection. And it had Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD, and I would just grind that game with like Fei Long or something. I think that shit was fun as fuck, and I think that's what got me into fighting games originally. And then later, back in middle school, I got into Skullgirls, and I think it was because of like 2022 Evo was popping off. And Skullgirls was added to main stage, so I think that's like the main reason why. You know, Skullgirls content, there's not really much besides like sets, tournament replays, and all that. So, you know, I felt like it was kind of my duty to make some like rant content for Skullgirls. I feel like there's a lot of things to rant about in this game. There's a lot of things to rant about in this game. Like, probably some like community stuff, because I feel like Skullgirls could definitely have a way bigger community for like what kind of game it is. and I feel like I might be here to help it grow. You know, I think that'd be sick. Okay, as a small content creator, I used to be part of like the Friday Night Funkin' community before I finally, switched the name and like changed up my content. I can tell you one thing: this community is a lot less toxic and a lot less weird. So you'll definitely see like 20 bajillion more mature people in this community. Way nicer people too. Like I have yet to have like a bad interaction with anyone from the SGC or just FGC in general. I think majority of you guys are cool. Yeah.
Majority of the FGC, we just want to end up just not only just sharing the same interests of just playing these fighting games at the end of the day, even if it's something like what I find like just so beautiful about it, even if you both don't play the same games, you end up actually jumping into each other's games and learning something from it. Like you're both teaching each other on top of that too.
I think that's how I got into uni, because I have a friend named Inventory, and she's like really cool. She's a really good Ceph player, and I think she got me into uni because I thought that Ceph was a pretty cool character. But then I saw Enkidu was in the roster, and I was like, oh my god, wait, this character is just as stupid as Beowulf. So I just started playing Enkidu, and I'm actually planning to make a video on like Uni 2 one day. So yeah, might as well make some preparations now.
My friend is the one who got me into Earner Knight and Skullgirls back in the day. Mainly when Skullgirls like first came out, and then its full-on release iteration. As soon as I saw Painwheel, I thought that was like the coolest, edgiest character I've ever seen.
Painwheel's sick. She's just like the sentinel of the game, but then she's also like extremely annoying. She's fun to look at when you like see gameplay of her, but when you have to actually play her, it's 90% of the game will just be you trying to catch her air stalling, and it's gonna suck because like she has armored normals that are just like negative edge, and it's so dumb. I hate it so much.
So has there ever been any ups and downs when it comes to just being a small FGC content creator?
I guess like I've been pretty small for like a while. Recently I just hit 1K because I made a really stupid LARPing video. I genuinely don't know how that video got so big, but yeah, there's a lot of people who want to share their opinion and how you create your videos, which really sucks because I kind of just came here to like, have people enjoy my videos and just be here.
Mm-hmm.
Although the ups about being like a small like FGC content creator, I want to say like if you're doing it in a small community like mine, right? Like the Skullgirls community, people will definitely know you a lot more. It's like I think sometimes I'll just like catch people talking about my content in chat. I think that's sick. You'll definitely be way more like known in your community if you like make content for that community, which is actually really sick. But like it'll be very discouraging if you've worked so hard on the video and then that video doesn't perform to your standards, which I think has happened to me like twice recently. Dude, I'm fine with 10 views though. I'm fine with like getting 10 views per video. That's fine with me entirely.
I think what's crazy, like sometimes like just being a content creator, you end up like pouring so much either on the single video or this topic, and then it could be like one that you feel like you didn't do a good job with, and for whatever reason that one ends up blowing up.
That's something that used to happen when I was like not on this channel, but like on my old YouTube channel when I was like really young, where just like random shit posts that I'd make would get like tens of thousands of views. I'd just get like thousands of subscribers from that, and I just felt like no, it's not. This isn't what I want to do. That's why I kind of quit for my content creation for like a few years, and then I came back with my current YouTube channel.
Have you ever dealt with burnout?
Oh my god. Okay, so when I was making like a few videos, right? I think like the past two videos, not including the weird Minecraft one I made with my friends. I was stuck playing Deadlock for nearly like I think 6 hours a day. So I just wouldn't work on the video, and I was just saying like, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. And yeah, burnout is a huge thing for me because I kind of put a little too much effort into my videos. I'm not gonna lie, I have like I force myself. Yeah, I'm gonna put this day for lip syncing, and I'm gonna put this day for actually drawing sprites because sometimes I have little skits before the actual video starts, and yeah, it's a little too time consuming, so I get kind of bored and I just start playing Deadlock.
So not only that you're a fighting game content creator, do you compete as well?
I haven't competed in like a huge major for Skullgirls, but I have competed in like I think weekly brackets that are held by Sage and also JP. Shout out to JP, that's my goat. And you know what? I think it's pretty fun just playing those brackets. I don't care about winning. I'm just there to hit some stupid bullshit, and you know, if winning just kind of like a side treat, you know. It's just, the main course is just trying to hit some bullshit and then like hopefully win. It's like maybe.
Oh, that I can totally understand. Just make it something fun and not stressful for you.
Yeah, it's good. Like I don't like taking things too competitively because I think I used to take it like super competitively when I was like, you know, like a little intermediate, like very very low intermediate, and you know that kind of wrecked my mental. And I was like, wait, hold on, I could just have fun. Why don't I just have fun with it and just like doing some straight bullshit and like annoy the shit out of my opponents that actually. Actually, one of something there was like a bracket yesterday, and I was facing like one of my friends, and one of them like after I beat them 3-0, one of them just said BGs. I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome sometimes. you gotta be focused on one, right? You gotta keep one like your serious thing, and then the other one just like, yeah, I'll do this for fun sometimes. I think that'll be great. So that's how I balance it personally. So like competitive play kind of just turns into like semi-competitive play because I kind of take it casually compared to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's not too difficult, at least on my standpoint. Well, I think streaming is a lot more fun compared to YouTube content. I do want to do more streams one day, but then again, I kind of like. When you're like a small FGC creator, like you're not gonna see that many people doing a stream, so you're just gonna be forced to talk to yourself for like, I think an hour and a half, maybe. That's usually how long my streams are, at least. But like YouTube content, you can always like think about what you want to say. The only problem is just that the editing process is so friggin' annoying, and I've had my fair share of annoyances with DaVinci because that shit does not run well on my PC at all. Honestly, I wouldn't really say I learned anything. At most, I just learned that like people will hate you for anything. So like, it's not advised to listen to hate comments. That's all I can really say. People will hate on you for anything, even if like the content that you're making is like. Think about it, like Mr. Beast. He does philanthropy, right? And like, you know, he does some great stuff, but there's always gonna be someone like out there that's gonna be like, yeah, so Mr. Beast is actually doing some pretty bad stuff. We really shouldn't be giving that money to all the children out there, which is kind of weird, but I don't know. And the internet is weird. The internet is a weird place, and you know we're all in here together, a little melting pot.
Because no matter what, it's like a damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. Majority of the time.
I mean, it's not really damned if you don't, but I see where you're coming from. It's just kind of like I don't know. You're gonna receive hate either way. Like it's gonna happen. It's bound to happen. Just don't listen to them, right? I want to say what's kept me motivated is just like how weird the process is, and also I just need something to do with my hands, bruh. Like my hands need to do something besides play fighting games all day. I need to move them somehow, and I think I actually don't know what else would like keep me motivated besides just like, you know what, this is really fun. No one's ever done this before. I might as well put myself out there and like, you know, have maybe bring more people into the SGC, like a good like tag fighting game. We really need more fighting game players that play Skullgirls, because I think we're lowering in numbers like slowly, but surely it's gonna die one day. You'll have those like random strokes of luck where your video just blows up, and you know people are saying like, "Oh my god, how do you only have like 1K subs? You should have like 10K at least." It's like there's a lot of supportive people out there on YouTube, which I think is really nice, and also because like I think I have a message on my wall. I don't know if you want me to send a photo of this, but there's a message from like a really good Skullgirls player telling me I'm a so for real. This is a good video actually. It's got musical beats, it got funny moments, and the FX sound effects were well timed. Now make more content. Already watched it like 5 times already, and it's like that's what keeps me going. People actually enjoying my content, really. I think that's the most fun part. Number one, my favorite content creator of all time, Edmund X. He makes like these like I want to say like brain rot-ish videos, but he puts so much effort into like every skit that he does and every joke that I honestly want to be like him one day, and just like kind of make like general like content, not just specifically on fighting games, but just like gaming in general. And then there's also Static Tokyo, which I mostly take the editing of, because I put like a bunch of shit posts in my videos to like cover background footage. It's just, honestly, I just say that my content creation, it just comes from doom scrolling on Twitter. That's about it. I think something that most small creators gotta know is expect your growth to be gradual, right? Like you can't just make one banger video and then people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, you need more viewers, right?" Like you can, and then also like don't spam out your videos. I personally don't like it, and I don't think a lot of people are gonna like it because it kind of messes it up. Unless it's sets and just like fights that you're doing. But if it's like Skullgirl, or not Skullgirls content, but just like content where you just kind of like record yourself reacting to like supers in a game, it's like who wants that? I'm genuinely trying to remember like a single person who actually wants that kind of content. Like, I want something that's entertaining and just like you reacting to supers. But that's just me. That's just me. All content is subjective, right? We don't know which one's good and which one's not. That's about like one of the things I can say, really.
Hi, my name is BeamTheGamer. You could just call me Beam. And I got into the FGC pretty much maybe around 2014. That was the first time I played any fighting game. And I was at like my cousin's house, and they had Street Fighter 4. And I've never played a fighting game before, and I decided to try it out. I've heard of Street Fighter. And the first character that popped up to my mind was Ryu. I've heard of him, obviously. Very iconic. And my dad also played Street Fighter 2 back in the day. He mentioned him before, casually. So I tried out Street Fighter 4. I had a blast. It was so much fun. And instantly I went to the move list and I started to see how to do a Hadouken. And as soon as I did that, I was hooked. And when I went home, I was like trying to find a way to maybe get the game or do something like that. And I think I ended up getting Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. And it was such an interesting concept for me because not only I get to play the Street Fighter characters, I also get to play some iconic Capcom and Marvel characters, and that was a lot of fun. And eventually, I had an Xbox One, and Street Fighter V came out, and I discovered that that's only on PlayStation, which was a big mistake from my end. I should not have gone an Xbox, looking back at it, and I ended up missing out on Street Fighter V for a very long time. And I ended up getting Street Fighter 4 as well, and I played that casually, ended up forgetting about it. And in around like 2020, late 2020, maybe December 2020, something like that. Actually, December 2019, maybe. I saw on Steam that Street Fighter 5 had a discount. It was like $8 or something, and I was like, "That's amazing." And like I said, since I had an Xbox, I saw that on Steam, and I had just gotten like a slightly better laptop for school. It had some weak GPU, but it was enough to run the game on low settings. And once I tried it, I could not stop. And I just had so much fun with it and started improving just because I was having so much fun. And yeah, now we're here. The competitive side came a bit later. Like I said, when I first started around, I was still a beginner. I was still trying to figure things out. And because I was improving slowly but surely, I ended up around 2022. That was my first time competing, like actually being serious and competing. It was 2022, and I actually ended up doing pretty well on that. I ended up, I think I got top 8 in Capcom Pro Tour Middle East, and there was also World Warrior. They were separated at the time. They weren't just one thing. And I ended up getting to the regional final in that as well. So that was my best attempt at competing in Street Fighter V. And that came around maybe 2 years after I started. Honestly, I've always wanted to make videos. That was always an ambition that I had since I was a little kid. Ever since I used to watch YouTube videos on the family computer, I was always curious on how they made those videos. I didn't have the technical know-how or anything. I didn't even know how to make an account at the time. I was really young, and I really wanted to get into that. And as soon as I figured something out, I think I was 8 years old. It was 2012, actually. Yeah, I was 8 years old in 2012. Kind of crazy. And I made a YouTube channel, and the first video that I made was like a tutorial for The Amazing Spider-Man, the game. And I couldn't stop making videos since. I actually didn't start making fighting game content. I only joined like the FGC or fighting games in general pretty recently. Most of the videos that I made or my attempts at content creation were through other games and stuff, like pretty common games like COD or FIFA or something like that. Honestly, if I have to be really honest with you, I don't think I've ever been in a community like I've been like the FGC. Because like I'm a content creator right now and I get to interact with viewers all the time and express my opinion about whatever it is about the game, and see a lot of comments, respond to a lot of comments, have a platform. I didn't actually have anything like that really with any other game. Most of the games that I played, I was just like playing it casually with my friends. I wasn't very active online, like on forums or something, you know? So in that way, I would say the FGC in general is pretty different than other communities. I think they're a pretty dedicated community. There's lots of great people in there. I've met lots of great people from the FGC. And I feel like it's like a cult in some way, in a good way. They're very dedicated and supportive, no matter what the game is. You know, there's so many games in the FGC, some more niche than others. And yeah, I think they're honestly, it's such a special place. I think that with everything, you know, comes ups and downs. Honestly, with the FGC and content creation, as a small creator, I would say that there's not much consistency. You don't know exactly what could do well, what could not do well from your videos. You could be like counting on a specific video. Okay, this one's gonna blow up. This one's gonna be really nice, and it just doesn't, or does really poorly. And some other videos that you don't expect to do well, they could just suddenly do very, very well, more than you can expect. I think there's a lot of uncertainty in that way. But I guess it's part of the fun, you know. Doing it as a hobby like this is, I would say, a pro, like a really good thing, a nice advantage, I would say, that there's no pressure on you, except only just waiting for your fans or your viewers to watch your videos or comment or respond. Everyone faces burnout all the time. I do experience that, and it was something that I couldn't really wrap my head around before starting to make videos, because I was like, people are playing video games for a living and they're complaining. It's a crazy thing, and when you get into it, you don't know how much effort is required to sustain or maintain a channel and do well. Like editing the videos takes a lot of time, making a thumbnail, think of a title, all that is a long process. And also think of the other things other than your YouTube channel or the fighting game that you're playing in. There's also things out of your control, your responsibilities. Like, for example, for me, college takes a big chunk of my time, and I have to try to manage that, and it burns me out both sides, and I have to figure it out. But ultimately, it's pretty rewarding. You feel guilty. You really do feel so much guilt, especially, for example, I took like a month break when I had my finals. Around a month, yeah. And every day, the thing that I'm thinking about constantly, like, oh my God, I'm killing my channel. I'm not posting anything. It really does. People that don't post or don't make videos, I'm sure you know that being inactive really does hurt your channel, and you just feel guilty all the time. Like, I wish I made a video. I wish I could make a video, and you're just focused on something else. Honestly, lately I haven't been playing competitively as much as I did back when I started in Street Fighter V. The reason why is because I've been taking so many breaks because of university. Literally, there's barely any time, and when I try to get back into the game, every break I take, you're super rusty and you feel terrible. Even playing ranked is a chore, and you try your best. And sometimes I sign up here and there. For example, I'm gonna compete in the Capcom Pro Tour. I'm gonna try to get as far as I can. Honestly, the results for me in Street Fighter 6 have not been the same as Street Fighter 5, because I feel like the game is so there's a lot of volatility with the game. And I feel like most matches you can't really control the way you want, and the outcomes as a result are not always what you expect. So with little playtime and juggling other things, it does affect playing competitively. But I mostly try to make the content that I make. I try to make it through the ranked matches and try to have as good of gameplay as possible for people to watch, and that's the way I do it. In Street Fighter V, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing the clips. What really was successful in the beginning of my channel was doing short clips, and I was like doing 3 a day, which is kind of crazy. It was COVID, and I had a lot of free time, and the right place at the right time, it helped get some success. So I was posting those videos, and I was like, okay, maybe I should live stream. Why not live stream? And the live streaming aspect is interesting, but honestly, if I'm comparing them, like streaming versus making YouTube videos, if you're just starting out, making YouTube videos is a much more guaranteed way, you could say, to grow viewers. Because I personally did try streaming before I had a following, like when I had, I don't know, like 100 subs or something. When I wasn't very known, I would get like 1 or 2 viewers, or sometimes even 0. And there's not much growth that comes from Twitch. I would say that making YouTube content and transforming it, getting an audience, will eventually get you to get an audience on Twitch as well, or whatever streaming platform. So lately, for example, I would like to stream. I did try to stream for a little bit last year, but the issue was, like I mentioned, the time. And because I had such little time, if I'm going to do a live stream, it's going to be 30 minutes to an hour, and that's too little for a live stream. So I honestly said it's not worth it. If I ever find free time, maybe I would live stream and do 2 things at the same time. They do kind of help. It's like a second stream of income, and at the same time, it's also fun to interact with your viewers. But it is something that you have to do when you have an audience, I think. Don't just start doing it without having that. You do need a lot of consistency and persistence when you want to make content. Like I said, I started around 2012. I kept making videos ever since, and zero success, like 0 views almost. And I was just so interested in making videos that I was just having fun with it. And I didn't care that much how many views it got, but I was always curious what it was like if a video did well. And all you have to do is just do your best. Try to post as much as you can. Make good videos that you'd actually want to watch. And after you do that, eventually you might get lucky. It's a numbers game as well. You have to get kind of lucky. But if you're at the right place at the right time and your videos have even a sliver of quality, then people are going to enjoy them and you might actually just succeed. Honestly, when I first started playing Street Fighter V, the first channel that came on my feed was actually MDZ Jimmy's channel. That was the first FGC channel I think I've seen. And at first I remember I was like, why am I getting this guy recommended to me so much? I wasn't very interested at the time, but then as I kept watching, I noticed that, damn, this guy's actually kind of pretty good. And I just kept watching him. And at the time, I remember when I first started playing the game, I wanted to play Akuma. But when I started watching his videos, I was like, you know what? Ryu's pretty damn good. Ryu's pretty damn good. And I should try him out. And I ended up learning so much from him. And yeah, that's definitely the first person that comes to mind, because that's the first person I watched. And I remember a little bit after when I had started my YouTube channel and it was kind of doing well in the Street Fighter FGC zone, I remember seeing Brian F for the first time, and I also thought his videos were very good. At the time, he wasn't even like that big. He's huge now. He had like, I'm not kidding, I think a couple thousand subs. Now he's like, has over 100K across multiple channels, which is crazy. Very well deserved, the effort that he's put in for the game. And honestly, I think those two are great. And lately I haven't been watching many FGC creators, but I know, for example, I think Broski is doing very well and he's killing it, honestly. If this is something on your mind, wanting to make a YouTube channel or just create content in general, just do it. Honestly, just do it. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's pretty much no risk and almost only a reward. No matter what equipment you have, I'm pretty sure most of us started with like the most basic equipment. Like the first video that I made for my channel, like I said, it was an amazing Spider-Man tutorial. And you know how I filmed that? It was my TV. I put a chair in front of it and I turned on my laptop's webcam, which was like 144p and like 6 FPS. And I just filmed the video and talked as if like I was like trying to show my gameplay and talk at the same time. I didn't have a screen recording software or Elgato capture device. So you just gotta start, and eventually you could try to improve things if you see the channel getting viewership. And like I said, there's a lot of luck in the content creation stuff. You need to try to find your niche, what you like to do, and try to make as good of videos as possible that you can make. And eventually, at first, maybe some videos, after you make a few videos, you discover what you like and what you don't like, and you could just keep refining and improving, and eventually you'll be proud of the content that you make, and it's just a matter of time when your video is going to blow up or not.
So I'm Wireman. The name actually kind of alludes a little bit to the origin as well. Everyone who asks what Wireman means, that you always get a different answer. But like, what got me into fighting games, there's a couple of layers that I think that's the same for a lot of fighting game people, right? Like, there's like what got you into the games, and then there's what got you into the FGC, and usually they're like two very different things, I think, anyway. So like fighting games in general was, and I'm sure we'll get onto it. Like, I'm from a house where I had two siblings, and we had the Sega Saturn, which only had 2 controller ports. So fighting games and racing games were typically like the games that were the fair way to make sure everybody got a go, right? Winner stays on and all the rest of it. So yeah, fighting games were always there for that reason. Grew up on the coast in England, where even now you'll still find somewhat of an arcade culture, not like an old school 80s or 90s arcade culture, but there's still arcade machines and arcades around the coast. And then on the FGC side, one of the things that I really got into first was actually building fight sticks more than anything. And I used to mess around with that. I've still got some of the old builds and things that I used to work on. But yeah, I found like the SRK forums through the Tech Talk forums, not through the fighting game side of it more than anything. As much as I was doing that stuff, I wasn't looking at it from a competitive standpoint or anything. I was just looking for people to talk to about building fight sticks. And I still reminisce about, there used to be a Google Hangout that we used to all jump on called the Best Ultimate Tech Talk Hangout Loud Edition, BUTTHOLE. And we would just jump onto a Google Hangout and just pad hack and mod sticks and things like that. I think I've still got some PCBs for future pad hacks and things around me right now. But yeah, it was just a good time, just people hanging out and making sticks. And we would often not even talk about the fighting games at all. We would talk about Castlevania and things like that instead. But but that was my weird way into it. And then sort of Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition was probably when the other parts of the SRK forum started to talk to me a little bit, and I started to try to take it a bit more seriously and get a bit better at the games and things like that. But yeah, I'd always been around fighting games, but that was when the FGC side of it, I think, started to leak in. I remember playing like vanilla when it came out, and I remember watching trailers, and there used to be an Xbox show on the Xbox 360. I forgot, was it called like Inside Xbox or something like that? And not a couple of them are fighting game guys, but like they weren't like a super like fighting game channel or anything. And even they were like explaining what cross-ups were in the run-up to Vanilla 4 because they were so excited that people were going to play fighting games again and things like that. And that was really cool as well. So yeah, even when just Vanilla 4 was coming out, there was this huge excitement, I think, around seeing what would happen there. And like you say, it just blew up from there, really, and hasn't stopped growing, I don't think.
Nah, I don't think it'll end up stop growing from here. Like it's still crazy as many different fighting games that we are getting, even in the modern times as it is. Like it's crazy enough that in 2026 we have so many new fighting games coming out back to back, and then the big ones coming out in 2027.
Right, and I think that's like a new that I don't want to blow it out of proportion. Like, it's not going to be a Street Fighter 4 moment, I don't think. But at the same time, I was talking to Theory Fighter a little bit about this as well. Like, it's going off in like a new direction. It feels like they've found part of fighting games that hasn't really been explored that much. And then you go, oh, there's like whole extra things that we've not even done yet. We've done the same thing over and over again, and we've iterated and incremented and stuff here and there. But they're like, no, this is a whole change in direction, and there's going to be all this new stuff that comes from that as well. And you go, right, like you say, at that point the audience doesn't run out, right? There's a whole new audience of people who aren't expecting certain things from fighting games that are about to find stuff, I think. And again, that's really exciting for me. It all comes from SRK forums. People have some horrible things to say about the SRK forums, and I'm sure they are right as well. I had a really good time. I think people treated me really well on there, but I do hear people that had different experiences. But I used to do, I don't even know what it was called anymore. I used to have a thread on there. I had a couple of threads on there where like I would just constantly hit the forum like every week with something, whether that was like an update about what was happening in fighting games, or I did one where I was making models and things, I think, at one point. But yeah, I was doing that kind of stuff, and I think I was doing some frame data analysis in like Virtua Fighter 4, probably A 2012 to Ultra era. And someone, a guy called Nabil, reached out to me. and he was just like, "Oh, I've got a website. Would you be interested in writing on it?" So we're talking on the shoryuken.com forums. He had a website called Hadoken.net. You can still find it on the Wayback Machine, and you can find my pieces on the Wayback Machine. But that website's long gone now. But yeah, this guy just gave me a chance because he liked what I was doing on the forums, and he's like, "Do you want to just do that on a website?" Because it was weird to do it on a forum. People didn't do like regular content on forums and like a scheduled content on forums. That wasn't a normal thing, but people seemed to enjoy it. So yeah, he was like kind of taking me back a stage and was like, "Do you want to do that on a website? Because that's where people do that stuff." And it was like, "Cool, yeah, I'll do that." So I used to do a couple of pieces on there, again, like a weekly update of what's been going on and like an esports one and things like that. And then it turned out he actually worked for a bigger company called DigiWin, who I think were part of like AOL. And it was almost like it was a test run. He was just like, "Okay, now that you've done stuff on my website, do you want to do this like professionally?" And I ended up writing for some of the DigiWin websites. And that was like, again, covering esports, and MMOs were still a big deal at the time. So I did a lot of MMO coverage. But it meant I was writing 3 articles a day on there, and sometimes an editorial piece, like a longer editorial piece, probably 1 or 2 of those a week as well. And you'll know yourself, right? Like it takes reps. So if you're just doing that many reps all the time, like you just get very comfortable with it very quickly, I think. And yeah, from there went on to write for something called the Players Lobby. I don't know if you remember that, but I did the ghostwriting for that. So you would interview players, and then I would take their words and turn that into more of a big editorial piece and run through that with them, make sure they were happy with the words and all the rest of it. But yeah, did some really cool pieces with like Cuddlecore and Kami and people like that about their experiences in the FGC and things as well. So yeah, kind of got pulled into it from just habitually wanting to talk to people, wanting to connect to people on forums, and even these days on YouTube and stuff, I think that's what I'm still doing. Is I go, "This is quite interesting," and then I get excited when even just a handful of people get excited about the same thing I do. You know, and it's always been an enjoyable part of it. People talk about like OGs and old heads now. Like on the forums, the OGs and old heads did not talk about the actual fighting game. They would show pictures of their sticks. They would show pictures of artwork. A lot of them played Mafia. Do you remember? Like there was like a weekly Mafia game that people played on there and stuff. And it was just like, yeah, they went there to get away from the fighting games as much as they were like the most like deeply into the FGC people. Like they were like, "This is not where I come for that. Like this is where I come to not talk about that." Just happens to be with people that are into that stuff. But I always liked that as well. That there was this like kind of, I don't know, this little kind of divide where people were either there to only talk about fighting games or not talk about fighting games.
You don't really see much of anything like that anymore. The fact that I would tell people that not only you've had like not only articles going on of telling you everything that's going on with players or just an event, and then on the right tab side of the website you'll just have the calendar of what events are coming up, things like that, and then another tab just showing, oh, if you want to listen to podcasts like Wake Up SRK or just things like that.
Oh, definitely. But it was I'd like to bring some, not all of it back, but I'd like to bring some of that stuff back. I think some of that is lacking or harder to find for some people these days. Like we still find I don't live in Newcastle anymore, but I used to help out with the Newcastle Fight Club. They're like the local FGC in the north of England. And we still found loads of people go to Facebook first. They don't know where to look for this stuff, you know, and they don't know where to find community. And yeah, as much as we're not into Facebook, you've got to accept people are going to look for you on there. And if you're not there to catch them, they're going to end up in some scammy side tournament thing that someone's running or all sorts of things, you know. So, like, it's, you've just got to accept that. But yeah, it's, I feel like there used to be more centralized places where you could just Google fighting games and be pulled into the right place, you know. I used to be in the Mad Capsule Markets forum, like an industrial metal music kind of forum. I'm a very proud Volvo driver as well, and I used to be in the Volvo forums. There's a bunch of forums for people trying to make boxy Swedish cars go as fast as possible. And it was really helpful to do that before going to SRK, because again, I kind of knew the good manners of being on a forum and things, and I think that helped me out. And there is like a sense of community on those as well. But yeah, again, it is that it was a place you wanted to hang out. I think you still mostly, in some of those other places, you'd go for information, or you'd go to share information, and it was quite transactional. Whereas again, I think the fighting game community, for me at least, has always been like, Joe Monday used to talk about this a lot. That kind of, it's only ever going to be as good as what people are putting into it. So I feel like you want to put into it as much as you can, even if you're taking less out than you're putting in. And I think that's an important part of the fighting game community, is to do that and do your community service, whether that is answering the questions on Reddit to help new people out, or posting tutorials, whatever it happens to be. I think that side of the fighting game community, where that maintenance side, I don't see that in other communities. And I don't know, I'm not making it sound very glamorous. I'm describing myself as a janitor of fighting games, but I do think that's something that I learned very early, again in the SRK forums and things, was like, put in more than you can get out, and everything will generally get better. And I still try to do that, and yeah, I wouldn't have learned that in another community, I don't think.
I tell people that the fact that, now that I'm thinking about it, we really don't even have like a centralized place anymore that would like help people keep track of like events that are going on, whether it's a major or a small 1 or 2 day regional. Like I remember there was like a centralized place that really just held all of that together.
Yeah, like I said, when I used to write for like MMO websites and things, one thing the EVE Online community, I don't know if you know EVE, but like sci-fi space trader game, they have like digital archaeologists, I think they used to call them, who were people that would like dig through the history of EVE as it was happening, or sometimes looking backwards as well. And it was that they keep like a full record, and they meet up and talk about the records and things like that, of everything that's happened like in this big online game and things. And like you say, I think digital archaeology is something that we lack, and I see dangerous sides of that. I don't want to be too controversial, but I feel like sometimes people forget history, and other people see an opportunity there to rewrite that history and go, oh, this is how that went down back in 2008, 2009. And you go, I don't fully remember it being like that. I was talking to someone on Twitter today, a much more a safer example, but with all this stuff going on with PlayStation at the moment about sort of removing the physical media and things, and people were like, oh yeah, remember when like Scott Pilgrim got pulled from like the PSN and Xbox Live arcade spaces, and just you couldn't, if it wasn't already installed on your PS3 or Xbox, it was gone. And then people kicked off and it came back. And yeah, I was talking to someone, they were like, didn't that happen to some fighting games? And they couldn't remember what fighting games. And again, if you go to the Wikipedia pages of these fighting games, it doesn't say it. It says this game came out in 2012, but it doesn't say when it was pulled from the marketplace. And if you'd only know now if you went on the marketplace and looked for it. And they were like, oh, I think that happened to the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure game. And it did. And I was like, yeah, but it also happened to Marvel vs. Capcom Origins, which wasn't a popular... It didn't review very well. So people forget things like that. And again, I was like, oh, and it happened to Rhythm of Fighters, which was a King of Fighters rhythm game spin-off on iOS and stuff. And it's like, nobody's keeping track of everything going on with some of the less popular games and stuff. But like you say, back in the day, you could just look for that stuff, and there'd be one or two very central places where you could find that. But yeah, it does make me a bit nervous. Like I say, I think if we're not there recording that stuff as it happens, people can come in and just say, oh, this is how it happened. This is what happened to Evo in 2020, right? If we're not there talking about it. And you know, I think that's a dangerous place to be.
What are the ups and downs when it comes to just being a small content creator within the FGC that you've gone through?
You'll notice looking at my channel, I will bang out like 30 videos in a row and then do nothing for like 4 years. At one point, I just didn't put anything on this channel. And it's, I think it is that because it's always got to come second to life, like it's very easy to put it down. No matter how much you enjoy it, sometimes it's got to be the first thing that you give up, you know, in terms of like life currency. How much time have I got? How much energy have I got? How much money do I have? Things like that. If you've got to sacrifice something, it often is a hobby. And unfortunately that's where this often goes, I think, is so many different series that I've started, sometimes on other people's channels as well. I feel really bad when I look on That Blasted Salami. I did a Virtua Fighter guide for Tekken players, or helped, sorry. There was me, Blessy, and Aria from TBS working on that. And we did part 1 of 3, and then part 2, we wrote the script and we captured some video, but it never came out, and part 3 never came out either. And even now, part 1 gets views every time a Virtua Fighter game pops off, or even when the new Tekken 8 started to sort of cause some controversy and people were looking for new 3D fighting games. They found that video and went, this is great, where's chapter 2? And it's just like, it never happened, you know. And at this point, a whole new Tekkens came out and things, and I'd have to redo 1, I think, to make it make sense for parts 2 and 3 and things. And yeah, staying on top of a campaign is very hard, I think. The other one for me is that Return to Evolution series I've got on my channel, which is 20 plus chapters, or it will be when it's finally finished. And I'm up to chapter 16, but it took me, it's taken me several years to just slowly put them out, you know. So yeah, it's hard to not put those things first when you're really enjoying them, I think. I don't know about yourself.
I've had my fair share myself. Like, currently I'm also planning my wedding in October this year. Not only that,
congratulations.
Thank you. And then just trying to balance work and then family time, just things like that. So you're constantly like being pulled and tugged in so many different directions. So it's like, okay, maybe I'll work on this video probably like for an hour and a half, like just little things like that. So it becomes like just really crazy of just trying to figure out how to sort through everything.
Oh yeah, like I imagine yours more than mine, but like editing, I don't think unless you've edited a video yourself, you truly know how much effort goes. And it is like for every 1 minute of video, there's 10 plus hours of editing, right? And getting the right artifacts together and stuff. And it's so hard to quantify that stuff sometimes. I imagine you get a similar thing to me as well because of the type of content you do. Sometimes something goes well and you get really positive responses and people will go, oh, can you do this for this other thing? So like you talk about a lot of martial arts. I'm sure that people have gone, oh, could you do a video on this kind of martial art? And you go, yeah, I'll do it. And again, you go, well, where does that fit in this pile of things that I need to do?
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh man.
I've gotten many requests of so many different martial arts. Like currently I'll probably like let this little surprise out, but after I cover Judgment and break down the martial arts in that, since I've never experienced Shenmue, I've always just watched my cousins play it. So I thought about like, why don't I do a deep dive covering the martial arts and just the philosophy in that game of all the many different characters? Because I've had so many people like ask, like, hey, you ever thought about covering like Shenmue? You ever thought about covering the Yakuza series? The furthest I played of any Yakuza games, and I have to tell people, probably Yakuza 4, but that was when I was like maybe 14, 15 years old. That's my only memory of just interacting with that series.
Oh yeah, since the like, was it Yakuza 5 or 6? Like the whole new, like the Dragon Engine side of it and things. Like it's a whole new game, and yeah, that both of them, that and Shenmue. Just be careful; they are both hundreds of hours.
I'm learning that quite fast already with Judgment. I'm halfway done with Judgment 1, and I have to tackle Lost Judgment.
Yeah. Great games though. I love the Judgment series. Like, it's weird that you're playing them that way around, because I was playing them going, this is a really cool idea, that's a really cool spin-off of the Yakuza series, whereas you're going, oh no, this is normal now. This is Judgment, and Yakuza's like almost the spin-off of that if you do it that way around.
I think what ironically what just attracted me so much more, like I guess with tackling Judgment first, was just having so many friends and just people describe to me, hey, have you ever thought about looking at Judgment? It's like you're playing your own personalized playground of Jackie Chan's Police Story. Like,
yeah, that's a good.
So I
I've
was
never
like,
thought of it like that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give this a look.
Oh, nice one. Yeah, it is a good game. I'll probably end up playing Judgment again at some point. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with that.
Now, you've told me that you've also played competitively for a time being with fighting games. So now that you're slowly getting back into like making content again, how are you balancing that?
I've got my first tournament in like 6 years next month, and it is that this used to happen 6 years ago as well, to be fair, but like you get into a place where every time you're not practicing, you kind of go, I should be practicing. And originally it was like playing Yakuza games and things like that. I struggled to enjoy Yakuza 6 Song of Life when it was out, because I was like, I should be getting better at Street Fighter right now. Every minute I'm spent in Yakuza is a minute where I'm not getting better in Street Fighter and things, and that was quite tricky to balance. And I think that was I'd just been signed by Reason Gaming at the time. I played for two quite big teams, so I still fly the Reason banner. I went to Reason, and then I went to Vitality, big Parisian esports team, huge in like League of Legends and things like that. But yeah, for a time they signed a bunch of Street Fighter players. They currently have John Ding from the Tekken scene. They still have him. And then yeah, I went back to Reason after that as well. There's a big UK scene for a very brief moment in Street Fighter 5 with Gfinity. I don't know how much of that stuff made it out to America, but yeah, we had again like weekly televised tournaments. They were on like BBC 3, I think it was, in the UK, and then in Germany it was on Pro7 Sat 1, which is quite a big channel, and then it was on like Facebook Gaming, because Facebook was trying to do the Twitch thing at the time as well. But it was like really high production. We had an arena and a camera crew and like media people, like publicists that would teach us how to talk and be interesting and things like that. It was like a proper endeavor. It ended up not working out for the Street Fighter stuff in the end, but they got a good 4 years out of it. But yeah, there was a lot of pressure on the UK FGC to do their best there really and look good. Whether that was tweeting good, which was my my strength, I would say, more than the actual playing Chun-Li and Rainbow Mika at the time. I did my best. But,
I remember that. I remember the G Infinity series and that whole controversy with some tournaments, and I think there was one in the UK about the Rainbow Mika costume situation.
There was things like that. The guy, they really did mean well. And this is still the case with the FGC now, right? So we were in there, and we were alongside like Counter-Strike and Rocket League and these like much more established esports, and we were definitely seen as like the sort of the FGC was the renegade kind of troublemakers. Like, they liked us there because we were really loud, and again, it had like a crowd, so they liked that the FGC was in there being loud, whether it was watching our games or even watching our teammates in Rocket League and stuff. We didn't really know what was going on, but we knew how to be loud and support our guys, you know. But yeah, I think because of that, they felt the need to go, oh well, they're quite uneducated in the esports world, the FGC people, so we'll have to help them. So we will write the rules for how their tournaments are run, and we'll write, you know, we'll make it more interesting, because just two people fighting each other is not interesting. We need to have good competition design around that, where, oh, you can only pick these characters, or, you know, weird things like that, or even the sort of best of three systems and things like that. They messed around with a little bit. And I don't think they appreciated that actually the FGC's got a huge history of competitiveness, right? And we've done this for a long time by ourselves, without the need of lots of money and professional tournament designers and things like that. And yeah, we would go, we think your rules here are A, going to be very bad competitively, but B, quite boring for people to watch, because we're not going to be able to engage with the game like we normally do. And yeah, it was quite a lot of a bit of a tug of war between us and the production team at times. But you know, they did mean well, but I think it was that there wasn't a lot of trust in the FGC from serious esports at the time, and yeah, we just didn't have enough time with them, I think, to win their confidence. Like I say, reps is big. I think reps is super important. So like I say, on a different YouTube channel, playing every single Yu Suzuki game, that was like 50 plus games. It's like 70 plus now. But at the time, 10 years ago, it was like 50, 60 games. And playing all of them. And it is just, again, no matter what happens, I've got to get something out this week or whatever. Getting them reps was really important. When I did Virtua Fighters, A to Z of Virtua Fighter, right? Again, that's 26 episodes that I'm committing to, like a big campaign. And it's like, this has to go out. And just making a video, every single time you make a video, you learn something new, I think, about making the video, whether that's like an editing technique, or you've seen your last video and you've seen what does well and where people comment, or you know, for me, I struggle with, I've got quite a regional accent that people don't always understand and things like that. So people always call out when they don't understand what I'm saying and things. So, you know, little things like that, you need the reps to hear how to improve yourself. So it's hard to say, like, just put stuff out, because again, like in this sort of AI world where just garbage can create itself over and over again, you don't want to be like, oh, just put stuff out, right? But at the same time, it's such a necessary part of the process to get these iterations. Your best content is only going to come out, I think, after you've put a lot of time in. You can't just make your first video perfect, you know. And yeah, getting back onto that now, it has been really helpful. And for me, getting back onto it has been doing stream edits and things like that, which means I just get to focus on the edit side and get back into that mentality of, I'm just gonna have to sit in front of the computer for a long time and clip stuff and do that side of it that is less exciting. But it's helped me get back into that mindset of, okay, this is actually not that bad. I can do this. If I want to make a 10-minute video, I've just edited a 4-hour live stream, right? So this should be fine. So yeah, that's been one of them, I would say, definitely, is just getting your reps in is really important. Build the habit, you know.
For me, what's so awesome about like just looking into these things is the fact that I also walk away learning more and more as someone that is like a martial arts enthusiast, and just going over looking at the mindsets of people that actually either practice these martial arts, or even just reading the forums and stuff like that, because I went through a rabbit hole just going through not only all of his fighting styles and even Lao's, just because that it is loosely based on an actual martial art. But man, I really had to dig into this really old martial arts forum from back in like maybe 2010 where all these Sifus were just exchanging knowledge in this forum. Like, it's something I had never seen before. And one of them kept bringing up Lao as an example and going over what his style is really loosely based on. So little things like that is so interesting to me.
Oh yeah, it kind of loops back to that point about like what happens in the FGC if we're not recording this stuff. But like martial arts has been a folk art for hundreds of years, right? And I feel like the FGC is a bit of a folk art as well. Like it's passed on by getting new people to come along, and eventually they're going to have to pick up the commentary and things like that. And you share what you know and things. And I do think there's a lot of commonality there with just, you have to accept some of this stuff is going to get forgotten and erode away and things. And you just do your best to make sure that the important bits stick around and things. But I compare the two quite often. And as Virtual Fighter fans, we compare the two often anyway, don't we? But two very interesting worlds. I don't speak Chinese very well or anything like that. Like, it happens that some of the martial arts I've learned, they're sometimes taught with a lot of Chinese emphasis. But if you ever get the opportunity to at least learn some of the like main characters, like the Hanzi for certain martial arts and things, finding your way into old Chinese and Japanese internet spaces is actually very, very helpful as well. I recommend dabbling in that. But again, that is quite a slippery slope into new areas.
Because it goes back to, like we were saying earlier, you're going to hear so many different answers from those that practice the martial art, of whether their experience or whoever taught them. So you'll just hear so many different philosophies from different people of how the way to go about learning the martial art too. So it's so interesting, like just picking people's brains apart and just seeing like what do they think when looking at this. I posted a couple of videos recently where I've been breaking down some of the martial arts, obviously trying to figure out who the Bakunawa killer is. I did quite a big martial arts analysis on that one and things. And people often disagree with me in the comments. And I think when you come from a martial arts background, that's not a thing where you feel threatened. It doesn't make you go, oh, I might be wrong, or they might be wrong and I need to tell them that they're wrong. You just get excited that you're speaking to another martial artist, you know? So I don't know a huge amount about Hung Gar, and clearly that's a very Hung Gar focused character. So I shared the stuff that I know, but then someone came in and went, oh, well, actually in Hung Gar, this is, and again, they often do go, this is how I did it. Rather than saying this is right, they do go, this is how I did it. And you can go, oh, so what did you observe then? Like, tell me about that. And you get excited to meet other martial artists and things. And you know, we do that in the FGC as well. If you saw a fight stick in the airport or something, you would want to talk to whoever was holding it, right? It's very rare and exciting when it happens in the real world with the martial arts side of it as well. So as much as I've had quite a few comments on the last two videos going, oh, that's not how we did it, or this was my analysis and things. It's never like an argument. It is like, oh, this is cool. Like, we can now share what we know and pass that stuff around a bit more, you know. Like I say, I think for me, it is the connection. I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like, I'm not looking for big numbers and things. Like, I set myself very small targets I've got like 1,200 I think subscribers now. Just a couple of weeks ago, it was less than 1,000. But I just try to get somewhere near that in views. And that tells me either everyone that's subscribed to me is watching it, or more likely it's met someone new. And that's enough to motivate me from that standpoint. But the numbers have definitely become less and less important. And it is that I don't need thousands of views or anything like that. I need 3 or 4 interesting comments, like I say, that give me that connection where I go, that person thinks like me,
that person's enjoying this in the same way that I'm enjoying this. And yeah, there's just a handful of comments and sometimes DMs as well. I think that's another thing is a lot of martial artists don't talk about how they're martial artists. In the virtual fighter community, you'd probably be surprised how many people practice martial arts because they don't all share that they do. But occasionally, again, you'll get DMs going, "Oh, it's really cool that you talked about that. I do that." And and those little sort of electric links, I think, between people is the bit that I enjoy and the bit that I chase after. And that's a lot harder to get, I find, as well. Like I've got plenty of videos that have like thousands of views, and on other people's channels I've got some that have tens of thousands and even hundreds of thousands now.
Are there any content creators you look up to or just really enjoy their content within the fighting game space that I would say that either just inspire you or, you know, just bounce off ideas?
Yeah, I want to go to another topic in a little bit about that actually, but yeah, I think the big ones at the moment for me, that there's people like Juicebox and people like Numbers, VF Numbers, and people like Chanchai who do such important work, and I think it gets noticed by a lot of people. It does, but I feel like there's a lot more people out there that don't realize just how much that is a piece of passion, the level of diligence that they have and the quality of the work that they put out, and the depth of knowledge. Like you'll have seen it yourself, right? You go to like a Chanchai stream and the things he's saying about Virtua Fighter, they're not things that me or you could study by sitting at a computer and research. And like it requires 10 plus years of playing the game against other people and getting into their heads and figuring that stuff out. And I think that's so fascinating. And yeah, it's extremely rare, right? You have to have someone that's been in the FGC and stuck around and is still here from 10, 20 years ago to pass on that kind of knowledge. That's such a rare thing that we need to treasure. And again, you know, there's the James Chens out there and things. I think, again, people see him as a commentator and sometimes as a bit of a celebrity and a sort of a face. But you go back to the old like Street Fighter Alpha days and things like that. He was writing the guides on FAQs and things like that. You know, like these people are extremely knowledgeable, and to build up that level of knowledge takes a huge amount of time. It's kung fu, right? It is that they've put in the time, they've put in the effort there. So yeah, there's people like that definitely that I love to watch. Big fan of Leon Massey. He moves away from his FGC content from time to time and takes a bit of a break. But again, he just goes, "This is really cool." Just hyper focuses on something very specific. Theory Fighter, who I've just put out a video with. Again, he is extremely good at drilling down to just like a little fascinating thing that's very unique to a particular fighting game or across a bunch of fighting games and talking about that. And yeah, I could. His videos are usually about 10 to 20 minutes long, and I feel like if they were an hour long, I would still just have that on and just zone into it. So yeah, there's a lot of people like that. If it's all right, yeah, like there was something else that I was thinking about earlier on in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Where I do think the FGC struggles, the Virtua Fighter FGC in particular struggles, where, like you say, a lot of people have YouTube accounts and they have some Call of Duty content on there. And again, a lot of Virtua Fighter people have been around like 20 years. When people ask me what channels would you recommend for like a new Virtua Fighter player, there are places like Chanchai and Juicebox and people where I definitely go there. But a lot of the really good content from really good Virtua Fighter people from 10, 20 years ago, it's hard to recommend their channels because they never segmented that channel and made it a Virtua Fighter channel. So you're like, I'm going to recommend this guy, and you're going to click on it, and his last few videos are going to be him at like a family picnic or something. And the really good Virtua Fighter content was like 10 years ago. You have to go into his library. This person never bothered to put this stuff into playlists or anything like that. Again, there's going to be some PSN automatic uploads with just those really long names with just the date and things of when it was posted and stuff. And I do think it's sometimes really hard to recommend some of the channels, because you know that if you were giving that to a new person, they're going to click on that channel and go, this doesn't feel like the right link. So I don't know how to solve that problem. I think this is a problem of, again, Virtual Fighter has a lot of old heads in it who use their YouTube as a social media platform and use it for keeping their own videos and things like that. And they're not there as content creators. They don't see themselves as doing that stuff. They go, sometimes I find something interesting in Virtual Fighter and I share it here. But yeah, it does make it challenging, I'd say. There's some really cool people out there, but if I was to say their name, like I say, I'd also be a bit nervous, because like, again, they'll just have a family picnic or a quinceañera or something on there, and it's like, I don't feel okay sharing that channel with someone. I think that's just for them and their family to see now. They don't expect people to go to their Virtual Fighter stuff that's deeper down in their backlog, you know. But yeah, I don't know how to solve that problem. Again, it feels like there should be a central space for all of this stuff.
Now, this does go back to a little bit of what we did talk about with advice towards content creators, but what would you give to other aspired creators out there that want to get into the fighting game space and just don't know how to go about like just making a video or talking about whichever game that interests them, or they're too afraid?
There's this thing, there's a flow chart. You might have seen this. It's got nothing to do with the fighting game community. But there's a flow chart called Wait, Why Am I Talking? Have you seen that before?
No.
Nah, if you Google like Wait, Why Am I Talking, you'll find this flow chart in Google Images. I'm just doing it myself. If you're at work and you're on like a Teams call or something, like you're only coming off the microphone if you've got something to contribute, right? Nobody likes that meeting that was meant to be 30 minutes and ends up being an hour because people are talking just to be heard and just to make a contribution, which isn't a valuable contribution. And yeah, there's this flowchart, Wait, Why Am I Talking? And it says like, do I have something like unique to bring to this? Whether it's a factual thing, whether it's an opinion, all those things are valid. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be true. It can just be like, this is my perspective and I want to share it. But I do think it's very easy to find valuable stuff that people aren't talking about. And it does require lots of people. The handful of creators and stuff out there that are saying things, they're not covering everything. They're just not. And like I say, if you're searching for stuff, often you're going to not find the answers that you're looking for. So I think there is that thing of just, yeah, do I have a unique perspective on this? Do I have information that people don't already have and things like that? And if you can do that stuff, immediately people are going to find you. Like I've still got, like I say, tutorial content from 5-10 years ago that still appears in my top 10 videos every single week, because people are still getting into Virtual Fighter for the first time and going, how do I not get scrubbed out completely as soon as I go online, right? What do I do? And yeah, there's always going to be a consistent sort of place for that stuff. So yeah, I think that's the big thing really. Is just ask yourself, what am I contributing? And don't use that to talk yourself out of it either. Like I say, just because something has existed doesn't mean it's the most up to date or the best version of it. So yeah, there's always a place for that.
Maybe the craziest thing about small fighting game content creators is that most of them already know the odds. They know growth is difficult. They know the algorithm is unpredictable. They know burnout is real. They know niche content is very risky. And yet, they still upload anyway. Because somewhere deep inside the DNA of the fighting game community, there's always been this stubborn refusal to quit. You lose, you adapt, you come back stronger. That's fighting games. And honestly, that's also the content creation game too. So to every small creator editing videos after work, streaming, recording combo guides nobody else will make, documenting dead games, teaching new players, or simply trying to carve out their own voice in this chaotic community, keep going. Because one day, somebody out there might discover your content at exactly the right moment. And for them, your video might become the reason they get into the FGC itself. You never know.
And I just want to say, with the toll of just being a small FGC content creator, like, as you have seen, there are so many ups and downs, but there is so much beauty that comes out of this. And I really enjoy so much of the entire process, even just down to like editing down the videos and stuff like that. It's like you're painting a canvas upon, and you're waiting for the finished product of what you're coming up with. And that whole mindset of just creating stuff in itself is like so magical to me. And I've always wanted to be a YouTuber, or at least somewhat of a content creator, just like many other people that have inspired out there. And it doesn't help that the fact that not only I have so much love when it comes towards fighting games, but also I'm still that little boy that grew up watching so many kung fu flicks with my dad, and even just by myself at times, from Shaolin Temple, Shaolin versus Lama, Big Boss, the list goes on. And it is such a magical feeling to me as someone that is like a big martial arts enthusiast. So I try my very best to not only represent all these different martial arts out there and talk about them to the wider audience, to just not only appreciate these different arts out there, but also have people feel even way more connected to their favorite characters from their favorite fighting game series or other franchises out there. And to me, that is like the most worthwhile thing, and it warms my heart when I see messages just from people just enjoying the content that is put out there. And I enjoy reading every single one of them. So I just wanted to take the time to like just speak to you guys and also tell the stories of everyone else out there. And that was the main focus of the video, of not just myself, but all these different walks of life of these creators out there. Whether you're small or medium size, like, I feel our voice is like just as important as the big guys out there, because the fact that a lot of us are inspired by so many people outside the genre or people within our fighting game space that do make content that are big YouTubers, it is such a wonderful feeling to just be inspired and just being able to bounce off ideas and come up with stuff. And that was something I wanted to do when going in and making this video, and just collab with so many different people, talk to so many different walks of life of creators out there, and just have their stories be heard, because it's not every day that we get to see so many different fighting game creators out there that either get lost to the ether or just make wonderful content. And the fact that you'll just get those messages every now and then of like, man, you should have way more subs than what you have. And I'm sure a lot of us have heard that from time and time again. But I do appreciate every single one of you guys that came out here and just did this interview with me. And please follow every single one of these creators out there. I will have their channels and everything in the description down below. And I truly appreciate everybody that has taken the time for this project, more than anything. Like, I was slaving away night and day of just really getting this out there. And I will be honest, I was very nervous with the fact that it is a very lengthy video, but I did not want to cut it up in parts. I just wanted it to be in its own single video where people can sit there and sit down, listen to it, come back, listen to it again, or just watch. And that was my big goal in mind. And no matter what the view count or so that comes out of this one, I want to just be able to have something that gets everyone's story out there, because a lot of us like work really hard as well to like just try to not only be in this niche, but also just like I said again, just being able to share and entertain with every single one of you, or even just educate on top of that too, because that is something that is not really common when it comes towards the fighting game space, of just trying to either, you'll have some creators wanting to preserve history or tell the stories that have been going on within the scene for so many years, and a lot of historians like that is so lost upon us, and it is very important to try to preserve that as well and nurture it. But anyways, y'all, I hope you really enjoy this video, and again, thank you to every single one of y'all, and for the newcomers and the returning people to the channel. Like, seriously, thank you so much for always just supporting the channel. I really would not be here without any single one of you guys. And I constantly think to myself of when I first made a partnership for the very first time, and I constantly stay in that mindset of just being so happy, and just that hard work paying off more than anything. And it is a wonderful feeling, and I still get that way every single day. Like the content brain, half the time it does not shut off. And I do have to say too, I appreciate more with my fiance just for always supporting me, not only her but also my stepdaughter too as well. Like, I appreciate every single one of y'all, and my family too. I just have to give those shout outs to, more than importantly. And again, y'all, if you enjoy this big video project, give a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can stay updated for any new videos coming to the channel. And please sub to every single one of these creators that was here for this interview. Please, like, these people are like, they put out some awesome stuff, and the fact that a lot of these people I was already following, funny enough, and just watching a lot of their content as it is, and I felt it was very important to have those voices heard once again. But y'all, this is BadMoon here, signing out. I don't want to keep you here when I've already taken up so much of y'all's time, but again, y'all, keep on gaming. And not only that, but just sharing the love of these fighting games that we are in, of this space, like, for real, y'all. But peace.
The study of Kung Fu fighting is ongoing. Don't ever hope to master all of them. So be careful.